Hey, 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 hey. JJ is cool. Deo gracias.
That's his go-to. That's his go-to.
I just heard that when I was listening
Actually,
to
we
old
just heard
episodes.
that because you.
Well, but I just heard it from an old episode.
And who was the one that said it?
Me.
Weird.
Obviously. I'm offended.
Are you offended?
Isn't that something from
You know what,
like
Mark?
Diablo 2?
Wow.
Warcraft 2?
Yes. Warcraft 2.
Bop, bop.
When you click on the Paladin Church.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good old paladins.
Champions of the Light.
Are you ready for episode 100?
No.
How about now?
Talk normal. Talk normal.
You're just gonna.
Hold on, I need the sugar.
You can do that.
You goober.
I hate those mouth noises. I really do.
Everyone has one.
That's something your wife and I have in common. Is when you come in the room and you're all like.
Oh, you don't like the... No one likes the... I like the classic Mark Smacky Lippy times. Mm-hmm. Hey, there, you got a friend in me.
Really weird thing to say.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
Unpopular opinion of the day. I actually like the Stand By Me version for Final Fantasy 15 better than any of the originals.
The original Stand By Me.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Stand by me.
Yeah, we know the song.
We know the song. I'm saying
we get it.
Yeah, no, I know the song. I'm saying that I like the version they did for the Final Fantasy 15 way more than the original.
You're tricking me.
Am I?
What? Why would he?
Because the original's a classic.
It sounds like a dumb thing to trick somebody about.
Well, but I'm saying that I realize that it's the classic, and I'm giving props to Final Fantasy 15 and their music crew to make a Stand By Me version that I liked better.
Brian, this is where you say, haha, I got you.
Oh!
I told you that I didn't, that I liked the new version when I didn't.
Final Fantasy.
Good one,
You got
Brian.
me. You got me.
Final Fantasy 15, the best music.
What's up, everybody? Episode number 100 of the Frozen North podcast is here. Unfortunately, maybe our last, but we're still excited to do it, and it's going to be a long one, I can already tell. So,
Hope you're on a road trip.
Yeah, good point. My name is JJ, and I'm here with my two friends, as always, Mark.
Howdy, y'all! My name is what you just heard, Mark. You've just learned a true fact, and now on to my friend
Yes,
over here.
after 100 episodes, we have finally learned that
His name is Mark.
we've been calling him Mark, and that's been true.
Yeah,
the whole time.
We have finally
Confirmed.
received.
You
confirmed
thought we were
status.
kidding,
Confirmed.
but it's true. Confirmed. You heard it here first.
I've been holding out this whole time. People were uncertain, but now they know.
It's true. I'm glad we could finally put that rumor to rest. And Brian.
Hey, it's Brian, your big, babbling, buoyant, boyish host.
Buoyant.
That was
Yeah,
special.
very buoyant.
Did you think of that all right then?
And I just came up flowing out. I just needed to think of B names. So that's why buoyant was in there.
Just said some naughty stuff if you weren't careful.
I could have,
But
but I didn't.
Yeah, dude. What if you said butt?
I bleep out the butt.
Butts. Oh, no, I said butt with the one T, not two T's. That's what separates the two.
We're already
Well-
starting like this. What the hell have you guys been playing?
Mark, tell me what you've been playing.
Let me tell you what I've been playing, Brian. First, I installed Brigmore Witches, the expansion for Dishonored.
Oh!
The second expansion. And then I played all the way through it.
Didn't you say it was fantastic?
It was very good.
What was your bold claim?
What was that?
What was your bold claim about it? That it might be better?
Oh, better than the original game?
Oh, you heard it
Yeah.
here first, folks.
I didn't get a no detections, but I got no alarms.
Yeah,
in
you
my
told me at the
playthrough.
end you flubbed it up, and you just
Yeah.
were like,
I was like, whatever. And I even killed some people.
I
'cause
heard a
was an
rumor that
assassin.
you had already restarted 30 times and you were still in the intro.
Was that rumor from me?
That was, well, you said you had started 30 times and Stitch said you were still in the intro.
I was in the first.
The fact that you have to
I haven't
think
even
about
gotten. Hold on. You need to stop because I'm still talking about Brigmore Witches. I haven't even gotten to Dishonored 2 yet. You're jumping the gun.
Keep going,
I played
sir.
Brigmore Witches,
Yeah,
and I
just
beat
saying.
it, and I did low chaos, but I still killed some people. 'Cause I'm an assassin. Dowd's an assassin.
Right, you were playing the class fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how was the story in Brigmore Witches?
That's pretty good. I mean, Dishonored games, the story's not like
It's a
pinnacle.
It's obtuse, to say
Yes.
the least, because you're not like
Like
given
the main story that's going on in these games is like whatever. It's just like people trying to take over the throne and stuff. But the backstory behind like the Void and the Outsider,
right.
that stuff is
There's a lot of
interesting.
mystery and intrigue.
Exactly. So that stuff was cool. And then I waited for the first beta patch to come out for Dishonored 2, and I finally installed it and played through the first mission last night. And yes, I probably have reloaded 30 plus times now to avoid making mistakes.
Amazing.
Nice.
And it's fantastic.
That save scum.
Possibly the best game of the year.
Wow. And they're only
Well,
on the
wait, never mind.
Well, Mark's only played like
Wait,
4 games.
Hold on.
So
Blood and Wine came out this year.
So you're going to give that to Blood and Wine to it so far?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm okay if you let Dishonored 2 beat Blood and Wine. I
No.
mean, it doesn't beat Witcher 3 as a whole.
Cannot say that yet.
Really? Okay. Well, the fact that you're about to anoint it Game of the Year and you're only on the first mission says a lot.
Yeah.
So good.
good. I have been playing. Is that it?
That's it.
Pretty much. Okay.
Mark, we're talking about here.
I've been playing a little bit of Battlefield 1 and World of Final Fantasy, which I'm really, really enjoying. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, especially if you're an old school Final Fantasy fan, go check it out for sure. It is definitely right up your alley. A lot of good stuff in there. A lot of just cameos and throwbacks and pretty much exactly what you'd expect. But you know, you see a character that you recognize, you hear him talk, and you're just like, maybe that was just me.
Yeah.
But you know, also been playing Pokemon Moon as well, and I was super excited to play it, and I played it, and the game itself is good, but I don't like the online features of this one. Like, you remember how when we played X and Y, it had to where you could see other people who were in your zone, and you could send them buffs and all this stuff. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really, really a neat feature to have on there. This one has, like, some festival land that you go to, and you can, like, you know, put new buildings in and stuff and whatnot. And then you answer, like, questions about yourself, and other people can read those questions. It's freaking Miitomo. Which I hated with a passion. And I will wholeheartedly admit I'm very, very early on in the game. Like, I still am in the first city, and like the other characters are literally still showing me around the main town. So I'm totally early on. But if that is the extent of the online stuff, I'm very, very disappointed so far in that aspect. Everything else, you know, which everything else is 90% of the game. Everything else is really, really good, and it's gorgeous. It's probably the best looking one that I've seen in the series so far. So I am enjoying it. I just was a little disappointed by the online stuff.
Makes sense.
And really not much else. That's pretty much. I mean, a little bit of World of Warcraft still.
Yeah.
But other than that, bam, Brian.
It'll always be in your life. We'll stick with World of Warcraft and playing that. I'm at a good point now where I'm really able to focus on other games. I'm exalted with all factions. I'm at 30 artifact power, 15 or 16 artifact knowledge. So really all I'm doing is doing some mythic pluses, Karazhan and raiding. We just tried to take down Helia the other night. Tough fight, really fun. We got her to 6%. We're trying to break, basically, in the lore-wise, we're trying to break Odin out of his bonds. So if you don't know and you don't care, I'm going to tell you anyway, because this might be the last episode. Can't hold anything back now. Odin is a Titan keeper, and Helia is what used to be one of his Valkyr that she betrayed him, and she's kind of locked him in his halls of valor. I mean, it's super Nordic mythology, 101. And anyway, we got to go down to Helheim and try to kill her.
Boom, chipped!
Oh, okay. Anyway, next game.
That was for Mark. He was
Yep.
going to try and do it with his nerds, but he dropped them all over
Yeah,
the
he
place.
did. He messed up. Okay, and then
I
also,
got you, buddy.
I've been playing Xenoverse 2 is my other game, and I love it. Oh, so many characters. Like, I'd say triple of the first game. And it's a cleaner looking game. It looks better. The town, I'm flying around that town. You're right. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's definitely better once you get that.
I just did one of my first raids, which is really cool. We took down Monkey Nappa.
Monkey Nappa.
Monkey Nappa. I'm so addicted to Xenoverse 2. It's kind of a Dragon Ball Z fan's wet dream, to be honest with you. Really, 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 really fun.
I agree. I loved it.
And that's it. That's really it for me. It's just WoW and Xenoverse. I am really looking forward to playing through Dishonored 1 and the DLC and then Dishonored 2 because Mark has been gushing about it. So, yeah, that's my next one.
Dude.
Yeah, dude.
Cool. All right. So with this being our last episode, like I said, it's going to be a super long one. We got a ton of submissions and a few emails to go over, and I also wanted to kind of like what we're going to do every couple of segments or so is we're going to do some shout outs to people who have helped us along the way, been on the show, or just had an influence on the show in some form or whatever. And so the first one that I want to give a big shout out to is rpgamer.com. When we first started the show, it was all about story focused gaming, and I'm a big RPG guy, obviously, and that's what I really really wanted to do. And I still listen to that show on a regular basis. They still every Saturday, they don't miss a beat. They always put something out, and there's always the newest stuff and games I've never even heard of, and I have gotten so much from there where I'm like, holy crap, I've never even heard of this thing, but it sounds great. There's so much stuff that I've gotten from there, and it's honestly killed my wallet because they always make stuff sound good that I wouldn't have never even thought to buy that I end up buying because of them describing it on there. But rpgamer.com is the site. I sent them an email back on episode 10 or 11, something like that.
It was real early.
And they read it on the air and gave us a plug on there. Didn't have to at all. I even put in the email you guys don't need to read this. There was somebody who had written into them saying, do you know of any other podcasts that you listen to on a regular basis other than you guys? And so I was like, just throw a name in the hat. If you could just forward this email to that guy, maybe whatever. That's all I need. But they ended up reading the whole thing on the air, and we got a lot more hits from that plug.
Yes.
In addition to, we had a handful of people who said hey, I've been here since the. It's kind of like it was a landmark for us because we had people who would say, I've been listening to you guys since the RP Gamer plug. We have a few people who still say that. So and if you have been listening since then, God, thank you because that's so long ago. So I really, really want to just give them a big thank you over there. And their site's awesome too. I go there almost every day just to look for any new reviews on games I'm looking to buy, and it's all RPG related stuff, obviously. But they have the RPG cast, and then they've also got the RPG Backtrack, which is another podcast that they do where they cover older games as well. So rpgamer.com, go check them out, and so thank you very much to them. With that, we're going to get into our first side quest submission. And this is, it's Brian and Brandon talking about their favorite game company. And I will let them hop into it.
Blizzards. Not fun to be stuck in when you're driving or when you're outside. But when you're stuck in a gaming blizzard, brought to you by Blizzard, the gaming company, it's the most enjoyable and most lovely feeling that you can ever have in a gaming experience.
I could not agree more.
Correct. So let's just agree that Blizzard's in real life, bad. Blizzard in the gaming industry,
it's probably the best there is.
Cream of the crop.
You're the cream of the crop.
So thank you. But we're not here to talk about me today. We're here to talk about Blizzard as a whole and all their properties and maybe a little bit of their history in the gaming world and why myself, Brian, and my other self,
Brandon, here
right,
on the final episode of the Frozen North podcast.
Second, that's the final.
Well, this is going to be for episode 100.
Oh, so cut that out. Editing. Anyway,
I'm happy to be here. I'm sad to see the show go, but I've been very honored and happy to be part of this from start to finish, pretty much.
I think we're going to use this time, you and I, to just write a love letter to Blizzard, the developer and producer of mini games, who seem to just always strike gold.
On their 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
It synced up pretty good. So, would you like to begin? I can begin?
Yeah, well, let's just talk about our history with Blizzard. Mine started with Warcraft 1 and 2. I know they were around a little bit before that, but I got the DOS code and the floppy disk for Warcraft 1 back when they were floppy disks.
That's a long time ago.
And played through this weird... that was actually my first RTS.
Wow. Nice.
And as a very young child, of like 10, I think, maybe a little younger than that, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just remember like the funny lines you could do when you clicked on a peon, and I remembered, the first 2 games I remember fondly because they were very early forays into my gaming. I guess my gaming life.
Yeah.
So it started for me, a little more than 20 years ago.
Well, I don't have quite the history that you do,
No.
but it started for me. I was in college. What was it, 07? 07. My friend Derek was playing this game known as World of Warcraft. I had heard of it. I was always like, well, that's a nerd game. I'm not going to play that.
Yeah, that's for nerds.
Here I am almost 10 years later, been playing it on and off just like religiously.
Yeah.
I love the game. And so that's how I got my start into Blizzard.
So I'm a little bit over 20 years. You're a little bit over 10 years. But still, that's 2 decades and 1 decade. That's a long time to not only be loyal to a company but respect them. So for me, the Blizzard effect is always. And it's probably different for you. It's always I don't really know if I like that genre, but Blizzard's going to come out with a game. So I always liked RTSs and StarCraft and Warcraft. Those games always piqued my fancy. My brothers played EverQuest, and I never really was into that kind of stuff. I played a little bit, but it wasn't for me. And then, I was playing through Warcraft 3 when that was out and was loving it, the 3D world. And then they announced World of Warcraft, and I was like, okay. I probably won't buy it. It's a MMO, and it's like EverQuest, and I like the world, but yeah, I'm not sure about that. Well, my youngest brother brought it home one day and started playing it. Well, I literally stole that account because my warlock was level like 40, and his hunter was like level 20. So I was like, hey, if I just buy you the game, I was like, can I keep the account? Because my warlock's level 40. I don't want to do that again because back then leveling was
it was
insanely
a grind.
difficult.
It was insane.
But I fell in love with a genre that I never thought I would, and that'll be a theme throughout our Gush Fest of Blizzard.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about Blizzard is they know how to make a game. Like, it's just they know what their customers are looking for. They know how to cater to them and how to make it, friendly for the entry level person.
Agreed.
And then also at the same time have these hardcore aspects that keep people around. I mean, look, World of Warcraft's been going on for 10 years, and
More
nothing
than
can
that.
top it. Nothing can top it. All these competitors keep coming and trying to beat it, and they can't.
Yep.
They just straight can't.
There's a reason it's the premier MMO. I think a big thing, and Blizzard's not, just before I go on any further, Blizzard's not perfect, and I know everybody's a fan of them, but I hope more gaming companies model themselves after Blizzard, and that's the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
Blizzard, like a couple other companies that are high up on my list, are extremely, extremely polish-oriented. Like, you can throw out a game, you know. You can make... Bethesda is on the antithesis of being polish-oriented, where their games are great, but they're so vast and expansive that maybe they don't have the time or the money or the resources to polish it, so you get a lot of rough around the edges. Beautiful picture, but around the edges you're like, oh, it's starting to blur a little bit. Blizzard's the opposite. Blizzard would rather trim the game down a little bit, not make it so expansive, but literally polish it to a spit shine sheen. I mean, name a game that's come out. Name a game in their beta that's doesn't feel like a release.
I know,
what
right?
mean?
Every beta that seems to come out is
Yeah.
just like, wow, this game is ready to go.
Like, you and I specifically played the beta for Heroes of the Storm, and
Heroes
we were
is-
like, "This is a beta."
Same thing with Overwatch.
Yep.
This is a beta. Like, it was ready to go.
Yeah, they have the beta word. I know it says beta, but is this not?
They're just looking for minor bugs and fixes that we can find that they can't find with that
Yeah.
small number of people, and like it's ready to go.
It's ready to go. And so, what for you? What do you think? Because you're a slightly different gamer than I am. I value story and narrative, while you value just straight up chaos and mayhem and running around and shooting
Yeah.
people and collection aspects.
And collection aspects. yeah.
So what for Blizzard? Because there's a lot of companies that do that stuff, but what sets Blizzard apart?
I think it's just the amount of resources that they pour into it, like making sure that, as far as the collecting aspect in WoW and in Overwatch even, and Heroes, I mean, they have so many extras. Like, totally optional cosmetic things you don't need to get.
You don't need them,
But for some way, they just entice you to want to get them
Yeah.
all. Like, they're so well designed. They're so cool looking. They're so, as you say, the keyword is polished.
Polished.
I mean, they know how to do these kinds of things, and it keeps me wanting to come back for more.
Right.
And even though my wallet tells me to stop.
Yeah, well, and and you said it the other day, like, there is so much to do in WoW. There's something for everybody.
There's something for everyone.
Because-
you can never like not have anything to do.
Which is like for our purposes right here. I don't care about achievements in WoW. I don't care at all about the collection aspect. I don't go out of my way to do that stuff, but we still love the game equally, and we're almost. I like the narrative and the story and where it's going, right? And you like the collection and the
gear upgrades.
Well, I'm a min maxer too because I do like that. But you like the pet battles. You like collecting. You like doing the achievements. You like all that collection aspect. You like to get your fishing. You like to do
love
archaeology.
to fish. Yeah.
Those are stuff that I don't necessarily
All the grindy aspects.
right. But so two people that have somewhat opposite tastes are both enamored with one of their games. Speaks to the volume of how Blizzard operates as a company. I think a good example is that they know that their cachet is grown to the point, so they will ditch entire projects at any point. They don't care how far along the game is. Their number one rule is if it's not fun, we're not going to put it out.
Exactly.
StarCraft Ghost it happened to, and then the Project Titan that they were working on, and they're honest about it too.
They're like,
why did
know
you
what?
scrap it?
This sucked, so we're gonna get rid of it.
Literally, and they use the same thing for Ghost. It's like it just wasn't fun. It wasn't working the way we wanted it to. It didn't feel like it was gonna come out and be a success, so we just scrapped it rather than push it forward. Which a lot of companies, I mean, and they lost money on that. They put a lot of resources into it.
Well, and the thing is, obviously, Blizzard is owned by Activision, and Activision has been known to just push product out, even though it may not be good.
And it shows you how powerful Blizzard is for them to be like, hey, you guys do your thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, granted, yes, they're a company. They're out to make money. But I think one of their number one goals is, like, they want to make games for the gamer.
Right.
I've never seen, across all Blizzard games, I've never seen a company interact more with their community than they do. Like, the community managers for Blizzard take a lot of you-know-what. Like, they deal with some...
There have been some epic rants.
Oh, my gosh. And the way that they just handle themselves, and they bring this feedback back. I mean, and then Blizzard makes changes based on these things. Like, it doesn't go unheard of.
Right.
Unlike some companies.
They are very in tune. And it comes back to, I think, the most important aspect of being a game company. Yes, it is a business, and you are in the business to make money, and that's number one rule in all business, right?
I mean,
you don't make money, you don't have a business. So, but then there are two ways of going about that, right? So I would use the EA example of corporate business. They're successful, they have a model, but how many of their games come out that are like critically acclaimed? They don't have the cachet. There's a couple of their franchises are very popular, but they're very, I guess, polarizing is the word you're looking for.
Very polarizing.
So you have EA, who's the buttoned-up business that have a model, and then you have Blizzard, who always have said they are gamers who make games, and that has to do with the fact that a lot of them came from like EverQuest, and they are lifelong gamers that are super, super passionate about it. In fact, Jeff Kaplan, right?
Yes.
His screen name is Tiggle, right?
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
His full name is Tiggle Bitties.
Yep.
Okay. That is what when he was a kid, he played EverQuest with a lot of the Blizzard execs. Now they had a guild and they raided and did stuff. If you can still find it, he had one of the most epic rants on a forum you could ever believe. But that's what I'm talking about. They're not guys who are like, hey, let's make a gaming company for money and make a business. We have to have a Call of Duty every year. Do we care if it iterates? Nah, we just need to release it. That's the EA model. And Blizzard's like, give us 14 years. It'll be done when it's done, and then you'll have a game.
Yep. Diablo franchises are like that.
Yeah.
But the Diablo franchises literally can last for 10 years.
Right.
And that people still play them. I still play them.
They support them, too.
I mean, they know how to keep a game going, providing it with fresh content.
So if we were to sum it all up, and this is our gush fest for Blizzard, Brandon, for you, what if you could take maybe a couple points and give it to every game company. What from Blizzard? What puts them at legendary status as a horror? Because there's great game like CD Projekt Red. I would consider in the great status. I would consider Naughty Dog in the great status of being a game maker, but they haven't hit legendary status yet because they don't have a 20+ year track record of bringing out games that are always great.
Yep.
So
what I think it comes down to is Blizzard. That, like you said, they are a bunch of gamers who work for a game company.
Correct.
They love to make good games, and they don't care how long it takes. They don't care what time frame they're being pushed by Activision. They just want to get out a great game.
Right.
And they will do whatever it takes to make that happen.
Yeah.
A lot of game companies don't.
No, and
The Call of Duty franchise is a perfect example.
because they have a different structure of like, hey, we have to get it out. It's our yearly franchise. Sorry.
Yep.
For me, I guess to wrap this up, I would say that the biggest thing that sets Blizzard apart from everyone else, that puts them at, in my opinion, obviously these are all opinion pieces, but that puts them at legendary status is a little bit what you said. They're gamers who make games, and they don't want to release a game that they're not proud of, and they've shown that they're willing to literally scrap a project in the very late stages of development, which happened to Ghost. I'm not quite sure how far along they were in Project Titan, but I know they had a lot of assets made. Mm-hmm. I think it's their willingness to literally say, hey, look, if we're not having fun, you're not going to have fun, and we don't want to put that out. Look at Hearthstone, for example. How many people does that have now? 20 million concurrents?
So many.
Yeah, I don't even like I hate card games, like online stuff. Like, it's not my thing. I played that, and I loved it for a time. Obviously, it's not going to hold me because I'm not Heroes of the Storm. I don't like MOBAs. I played that.
Yeah.
Overwatch. I do like first-person shooters, but I like story, right? And there's not a story to be found in Overwatch, but it's such a polished game. Attention to detail and willingness to... It's a willingness to not fit that that mold of like, it has to come out during holiday season 2016. If you're doing that, you're gonna fail on a lot of aspects of that makes Blizzard great, which is like, now they have the money to do it now, and maybe they didn't back then. But once you get to that point, you have to be like, hey, it's not ready yet. There's a lot of stuff wrong with it. We want to fix it. You'll understand if we have to do a couple months delay.
Right.
And a lot of people won't, but...
I mean, they have their own conference for crying out loud. Like, how many game companies
BlizzCon.
have their own conference that's the thousands and thousands of people wait to go to every year?
That's the cachet of Blizzard, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
Just to sum up, they're a gaming company that everyone, in my opinion, should model themselves after. I'm not saying they need to make Blizzard-like games, but they need to be Blizzard-like oriented when they are doing the business.
Right. And like we said, their games aren't perfect. No. They're not, but they know how to make them very, very well, and then they know how to fix them if something is wrong.
Correct. So, in conclusion, we love Blizzard.
We do love Blizzard.
But we don't like getting caught out in Blizzards in real life.
No, those suck. Yeah. But Blizzard, the company, amazing.
Yeah. To me, best gaming company I've ever been a part of. And there are others that are climbing that ladder, but Blizzard is just a step above.
They're the king.
They're the king.
Well, I guess that's it for today.
Oh, we're doing a wrap-up?
Yeah, we're doing a wrap-up. This is the last show.
Okay, wait. Here we go. Here's the wrap-up. Give me a B.
B.
Give me an L.
O.
I said L. We're spelling Blizzard.
Thanks for having me on the show. This is your favorite pro gamer, Brandon. Like I said, been very happy to be part of this. Keep on gaming.
You just used JJ's line?
Yeah, well, you can edit it out.
By the way... give me a B, give me an O. Body odor! Anyway, thanks for letting us gush about Blizzard. If you don't like Blizzard, just mute this part. And you can send me hate mail that you promised me.
Who wouldn't like Blizzard?
There are a lot of people who don't like Blizzard because of their success.
Haters gonna hate.
And we're back. Thank you, Brandon and Brian.
Yep.
Blizzard. And... not Bo-Wizard.
Yeah, just so you know, after the segment, I took Brandon
out back and shot him.
Out back, and we did a little.
Oh,
we went through the alphabet.
That was dark, Mark.
We just went through the alphabet, and
Old Yeller. Sorry, I spoiled the movie.
Oh, spoiler alert, Mark!
Unbelievable.
Unbar Larverberg.
I gotta get it all out. Last episode.
Yeah, can't hold anything back now.
Yeah, you've been holding back the Old Yeller spoilers since episode 1.
That's right.
Just like your name,
dude. You know it.
Man,
my name isn't
Mark. You're just blowing up all these misconceptions that people had.
Hey, it's 2016.
Oh my goodness. Freaking, yeah, I told you guys just to kind of do what you wanted to do, and Blizzard was the topic that came up. I think we're all Blizzard fans anyways.
Yes.
Here, so
Yeah.
You guys pretty much said it all. They're a phenomenal company, and there's a lot that they do. They are the gaming company that can honestly say, for gamers by gamers,
Yeah.
because that's what they are.
When you buy their games and you play them, they continuously add new value to the game, and that's great.
Right, and you would think like there would be so many more other companies trying to adopt that philosophy. Like Brian said, yes, it is about making money and running a successful business, stuff like that. But things tend to be more successful if you've got love and passion going into the product that's going out. So
just to add, just real quick, I think the big issue is obviously you need talent. And Blizzard has a ton of talent. Like, you can have all the best intentions in the world, but if you just don't have the talent, you're not gonna be able to achieve what Blizzard's achieved. So you have to be able to recognize talent, hire talent, pay the talent, and you also have to have a passion for being gamers.
absolutely,
Yeah. So that's
you better recognize.
better recognize.
See what it did there.
Yep.
Ha!
I love it.
All right, so like I said, we've also got a few emails that I wanted to go over. So the first one I want to do is go over a quick short one from somebody we have not heard from in a while. And episode 100, I still have not been able to pronounce his name. So this is from Shinoy.
Shinoy.
He says, guys, it's Shinoy. I'm so sorry that I will probably never ever learn how to pronounce that. You can spell it out, you can sound it out, you can even be right in front of me and saying it, and I still won't spell it or pronounce it right.
Shinayo.
That's not it.
It's like aioli.
I think
Although I wouldn't know.
I think honestly, it's Shine. Oh,
wow.
Fact.
He says from when you guys had the forums up, and I totally remember him being on the forums, one of the regular posters on there. So I remember answering your questions of the week, and I've listened to every episode. So this has been a ride for me too. It may sound weird, but it does hurt to see this ending. JJ was the perfect straight man to Brian and Mark's personalities. I've spent a lot of time walking around town listening to you guys talk. It's sad to see this end, but it is what it is. I'll always have the memories of the show. Thanks. You know what? Thank you. You've been a long time listener, obviously, since you've been.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you were listening since before the forums, if I remember correctly, because I want to say I remember getting an email from before that, but I mean, I could be wrong. Either way, I know it's been a long time. Thank you so much for just hanging out and talking with us, and man, keep in touch for real. Just because this show is gonna be ending, I'm still gonna keep the email active, obviously, and I'll check it every now and then and stuff. But by all means, reach out. We'll talk gaming. We'll have a good time, whatever. So, and with that, anybody can send us an email still at frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. I'd be happy to respond and just chat about gaming, whatever you want to do. Our website, fngaming.net, I'm not sure. We're probably just going to kind of let it run its course and then just be done with it. Our Facebook page is probably just going to stay up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. If I do anything with that, it'll be because I'm possibly planning on doing some YouTube stuff in the future down the line. And I might use that as kind of an additional platform for it. So we'll see. Twitter at FN Podcast. Mark will tweet as much as he has been. In the past.
Whoa! I will not be tweeting twice a month.
You've been tweeting twice a month?
Every time the episode comes out.
Every time?
Eventually.
No, I know. So, I mean, it is what it is on there. Our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/FrozenNorthGames. Keep that in mind because there is something I'm going to bring up a little bit later in the show with that. And our YouTube channel, Frozen North Gaming. If there's anything you want to keep up with us on at all, that's where the focus is going to be should anything happen in the future. Yep. This is not a promise. This is not me saying, like, definitely, blah, 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 whatever. Because I don't know when. I know that I would like to. And if you've been a long-time listener to the show, you know we try something new every freaking 2 weeks.
Amen.
So clearly I have some ideas in my head that I want to roll with at some point. And if I do, it will be with that channel. So Frozen North Gaming on YouTube. And I've uploaded every single episode to that channel as well. So all 100 are there. And, do what I do. I'll throw on a podcast on YouTube and I'll just run it in the background while I'm watching or while I'm playing a video game or something on my PC. So it's a good way to do that and keep up on that. And iTunes, obviously, is just going to, hang out and sit, whatever. So next on the list. You know what? I didn't know if you guys wanted to do this. I'm going to do it. Our PlayStation and Xbox handles, if you want. If anybody wants to add me, by all means, go for it. It's totally fine. My screen name on both systems is SnowmanJ02. So, I don't know if you guys want to. If you don't want to, it's not a big deal.
I don't know what mine are.
That's a shocker.
I am. Oh boy, you know what I'll do? I will post my screen names because it's some offshoot of Wunani, WUNANI. It's either Wunani 40, but I'll get my BattleNet, Steam.
You should also be able to, if you find mine on there, you should be able to look at my friends list.
That's true. Yeah,
yeah, and mine is always going to be Wunani of some shape or form.
Yeah.
I'll post them when
my name usually has pasta in it.
Yeah, when I get home, I will post all of them.
So does this belly.
I will post all of them on our Facebook page. And on our Facebook page, I'll just say, hey, if you want to add me as a friend on any of these platforms, please do. And then I'll post them, and we can be best friends.
And when Brian and Mark inevitably forget to post those, you can go ahead and just email us, and we'll tell you through email.
True.
I won't forget. I just don't know
might.
all. I know it's all. Wunani has something to do with all of them. I just don't know what iteration is each.
Okay. So as I mentioned, also, we are wanting to on. What did we say? December 10th, right?
Is that a Saturday?
I believe so.
Then yes.
It is. Let me just double check. Yes, Saturday, December 10th. Keep an eye on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Frozen North Games. Also, keep an eye on twitch.tv/Kiruvi, Kiruv like Victor I, because Tank does Extra Life every year.
Yep.
And he has been, he's been on a couple episodes. He's done the Fool's Lantern with Mark, and really, really, really great guy. And he has like a amazing setup for streaming. Like he's got the whole. We can pretty much stream anything.
Even old classic consoles.
Right. So we're going to be on those two channels. I would say go to his just to give him support because he's on there a lot more.
Yeah.
But we're probably going to be hosting him. So even if you can't find his for one reason or another, just go to ours and we'll host it anyways. But yeah, twitch.tv/Kiruvi and twitch.tv/Frozen North Games. December 10th. I believe we're going to start at what did we say, 10 a.m. and go till midnight?
14 hours.
So yeah, something like that. We're going to do Extra Life, donate, hang out, talk to us. We're going to try and get in some... I hope we try and get in some Jackbox Party Pack, because that game is really fun, and people can play with us on stream, which is so much fun, too. I did that with Tank when he was streaming his a couple weeks ago, and it was a blast.
I want to say to all you people who have listened to us and have supported us, but haven't had a chance to be on an episode and hear how crappy and unfunny we actually are, you should definitely tune in.
Yeah,
because you're going to see us for 14 hours without JJ's editing magic.
True. Very true. Very true.
So yeah, check us out.
Yeah, December 10th. Mark your calendars. And if I can, what I'd like to do is also maybe see if Tank can record it, and then I can throw it up on the YouTube channel too.
Boom.
So,
that's a good idea.
Just in case.
I think they have archiving on Twitch.
I know they do. So yeah, look forward to that, and check us out there. With that, we'll move on to another side quest from our buddy Tucci, who we haven't heard from in a few episodes, but he wants to talk about Squad. Tucci, take it away.
Hey everyone, it's Tucci. Today for the finale of the Frozen North podcast, the 100th and last episode, I'm going to share my experience and outlook on an early access game and take the time to share the pros and cons I've personally experienced while being a part of an early access game called Squad, that is on Steam. As reluctant as I was after being burnt on a few early access games in the past, the reviews on Squad were just over the top positive, in which players have taken the time to actually write up long explanations about their experiences in game. It relatively was made to sound like a rather non-toxic community with a good group of about 1,500 players on a good day. The amount of teamwork that each individual talked about and the inability to really just go lone wolf absolutely intrigued me. Something I'd never experienced in an FPS. Teamwork? I mean, really, you've got to be pulling my leg. Biggest thing for this buy-in, it was $40. Yes, you heard me correctly, $40 of the US currency. I was a bit taken back. I'd never seen an early access game run for so much before. I truly took a leap of faith with this one. Bottom line is the reviews sold me on it. Not the videos or talk of future content. Nope. The reviews. Anyways, moving forward into getting started with this game, it had bugs. Lots of bugs. It wasn't very user-friendly to new users, and really the devs put a lot of weight on the experienced players to teach each new individual on how to play, maneuver properly with your team, keep map awareness, and everything else that's involved with this semi-milsim or military simulation FPS. I guess you can attribute that to realism, ? I mean, I don't know, like the whole training aspect of it. It was crazy jumping in and seeing all the moving parts one had to learn to play this game. There wasn't a tutorial. They had a shooting range, but nothing to really show you what you were doing. So hopping into the game, because there's no tutorial, I pick Medic as my first role. There's multiple different roles. There's 9 people in each squad, once you make a squad anyway. And each kit, there's multiple kits like Marksman, specialty like anti-tank, grenade launcher. Then you also have your just normal rifleman and your squad leader kit. But anyways, as a medic, my very first moment in this game, I'm running around as a medic. I saw somebody get shot down. So I was like, oh my god, I think I know how to do this. So I run up with what's called the field dressing, and I start patching this guy up. And I'm sitting there, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I do this? I'm like, I mean, I've stopped the bleeding, but how do I pick this person up? And he yelled, and like, I remember the accent, but I can't even, I'm not even going to try it. But he said, hit 5 again and pick me up. 5 brought out the medic bag, which allowed me to heal him, and then he was revived. It was a really funny situation, kind of had to be there. As the days went on, I found myself looking to get caught up with a group of experienced players, to get a crash course of what's going on with this game. I ended up with a gaming community called VX9. For about 1 to 2 months I played with them, but slowly they faded away from playing squad, which I then faded away from the community. It's something I really wanted to pursue. I really enjoyed this game. But then slowly I ran into another competitive squad called H2O. I don't know what H2O stood for, so don't bother asking. It was a smaller group of guys, like maybe about 10. But one of them was banned for cheating. Whether it was warranted or not, they stopped playing, and thus, again, I kind of faded from that part of that group. So faded further and further that group as well. I found myself alone in this world of squad with so much to learn, and only being a little more versed than originally started, I was lost. I was playing on a new server one day and was invited to come play with another group. I know you'd think I'd lost interest in groups at this point, but I jumped in their TeamSpeak and slowly became a part of their growing clan called FFO, which stands for Fight on the Effing Objective. Yes, you can imagine what effing stands for. I'm actually still with them today and help with some moderator work on their servers, dropping the ban hammer on some nerds. FFO slowly became a competitive clan, getting involved in different leagues that the community had set up, and quickly we saw ourselves at the top of the competitive game. They taught me so much, it's kind of hard to really go into what was taught exactly, but I know this: I had found a group, a team, a squad I could count on. News had rung through the community that there was a new winner in town, FFO. We quickly became the talking point when it comes to the competitive scene, since the prior North American team, and there not being a lot of American teams as there is, Ghost, which was the American team prior, had stepped away due to a bunch of unlegitimized claims of cheating. No proof, just claims. Slowly, I became more aware of the politics that involve the competitive end of this community. Believe me, it's nearly as bad as watching the 2016 presidential debates, so I'll spare you the in-depth details. Bottom line is, it was ugly, and slowly becoming toxic due to unlegitimized cheating accusations during matches. And again, this wasn't on Ghost this time, it was on FFO, and I think there was some other groups that were involved as well. Not only with each version of the games that the devs dropped on us, there had been considerable amounts of new bugs introduced with each release. In some cases, until fixes had been made. I know this is cliche, but it literally was unplayable. There's been many bumps in the road with the new versions of this game, but I have to say, I've never seen more dev interaction with any other early access game community before. They really listen to what the community is saying, what the community wants to see the game turn into, and they have their own vision, but they definitely take into consideration what their players want. And shameless plug here, I will be getting started up a stream here soon, within the next month or so. Still waiting on a few more parts to the puzzle here. But if you'd like to preemptively strike, I do have my account set up on Twitch. You can follow me at E2ChiMain, which is spelled E-T as in Tom, U-C-C-I, M as in Mary, A-Y-N as in Nancy, E. If you're interested in even checking out the FFO gaming community, you can find it at ffosquad.net. Today, the competitive side of the game is definitely still there. That and FFO's considerably grown over the last several months, in which we call ourselves a community now rather than a clan. We found multiple other games we all enjoy playing together and made friends and such. I share this part to you because you never know what you're actually going to find in an early access game. I found more than a great game. I found friends. People I would have never met beforehand. People that I work really well together with and that have actually become really big parts of my lives on talking with them about personal stuff and so on. So do yourself a favor. Find an early access game that fits your personal game preference. This is just my recent story, at least in a nutshell, with the early access game called Squad. Thanks again, JJ, for allowing me to share my experiences and thoughts with your awesome podcast, the Frozen North podcast. And thanks again for the opportunity to be involved with a gaming community that talks about games. And again, if you're a listener out there, please show your appreciation to JJ and his team, Mark and Brian, and anyone else that's involved that I might be forgetting. Your appreciation for this podcast staying free, them taking their time to put in the work for your listening pleasure. And everyone, thanks again for listening to me, Tucci, over and out.
All right, and we are back. Thank you, Mr. Tucci. I have not played Squad myself, but as far as early access games, I get it. Like we played Rust,
Yeah,
in early access, and
that was a fantastic experience for me. Just like what he was talking about.
Yeah.
How I would come back maybe 3 or 4 months after the last time I play for like a day or two solid, just see all the new advancements the developer had made.
It's amazing how often and how much changes.
Yeah,
Like it's so crazy in such a short time. And as far as the competitive scene goes, I used to play Counter-Strike competitively, so it's he's not kidding when he says it's drama filled. That's I obviously I can't speak to Squad because, like I said, I haven't played it or I haven't really looked too much into it. But I work with the guy, and he's told me like all about the game. It sounds really cool. Like I love large scale engagements, and that's what it is. It's a first person shooter with just large scale engagements, and you've got your squads all in. Doing their own individual things and stuff, which is kind of neat.
Kind of like Tribes and maybe even Battlefield? Or is it bigger than that?
A little bit like Battlefield.
Okay.
Yeah, but from the way it sounds, it's a little bit more like Battlefield is kind of organized chaos. Like, yes, you're in squads, and yes, you're doing these things, but you don't really have to.
Yeah.
This one, it seems like it's a little more focused. Like, you need to stay with your people.
Gotcha.
And you need to be doing your job that, you're
Makes sense.
saying stuff. So, yeah, kind of neat. And like you said, he said he wants to start streaming pretty soon, so check him out at twitch.tv/E2ChiMain. I'll spell it again for you. ETUCCIMAYNE. And the clan he was talking about is FFOsquad.net. So yeah, give him
some love.
Give him some love. All right. Another shout out. Nova Star Gaming.
Yes.
Like, we haven't been up there in a long time, and honestly, like, I miss that place. It's, it's still there, and they're still doing their thing. And the last time we were there, I think, was with when we played the
Shinra.
when Shinra had
Shinra Tech was
their
there.
demo, and that was so much fun.
That was fun.
That was so cool. And I remember the episode too, Brick Roads and Power Lines, because we were just building and exploring, and people were fighting, and it was just so cool. And I remember just having such a blast up there. The owners up there are some of the nicest people. We interviewed them back on an older episode, and if you're in the Kansas City area, you're looking for a gaming center, go check out their website. It's novastargaming.com. It'll give you the address and everything like that.
Yep.
Go check them out, because it's a really, really cool little place. They've got Google Fiber, so internet.
Internet's not a problem.
I remember one time, Brian, I think we've mentioned this on the show, but Brian and I went up there, and
We wanted to play Final Fantasy 14.
We were sitting on two computers, and I think these other two guys came in. They were like, hey, we want to sit with our friends. Is there any way you can move? And we were like, we want to be nice. We were like, all right, sure. But then we were like, crap, hopefully these new computers have the new expansion downloaded. So we go and sit down. Sure enough, they did not. It just had the base game. We're like, crap, because this was right after that expansion had come out. Sat down. We're like, all right, I guess we'll just wait a little bit while this thing downloads. Oh, it's done?
You're like, oh.
Oh, wow. All right.
Okay.
Sweet. So, yeah, and they, it's just another one of those fantastic upscale LAN centers, and I would love to see a lot more of them show up too. But Nova Star Gaming, if you're in the Kansas City area, go check them out. Hang out there for a little bit. Play some games. Just talk to people. Hang out. It's a good time.
Good time.
So, and they've been really, really good to us as well. So, can't thank them enough, and wish them all the best in the future as well. novastargaming.com. All right. Got another email. This one is from our buddy Alex, who was in town a couple weeks ago and joined us for an episode.
Yep.
He says, hey there, guys. Well, this is the end, I suppose. It's been a long and fun ride getting all the way to episode 100. A little history might be in order. I started listening in the early days of the show. Somewhere in the first 10 episodes, I picked y'all up and enjoyed the topics and banter. Checked out your website and joined in on the discussions there. Yeah, I remember when the random spam bots hit the site too.
Yep.
Later, there was a transition to Reddit, the addition of streaming, not specifically Frozen North, but it still counts in my book. I think it just means because I was the one streaming.
Yep.
The branching out of Fool's Lantern, and finally YouTube with the Video Game Book Club. Been pretty awesome seeing the show grow and evolve. So, what's next? He says, seriously though, I know it's not a long letter. I just wanted to wish you guys the best of luck out there. Also, take this opportunity to thank you again for the hours of entertainment over the past few years. Not to mention recently getting to meet up and hang out with you guys. That was kind of surreal, and hopefully we'll get the chance to do it again soon. Alex.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
One of the nicest guys in the world, first of all. We had a good time. We went over to my dad's restaurant and had dinner over there.
Oh, the ghost pepper penne. Oh, man.
There's some fantastic food.
Yeah.
And we hung out pretty much all night. Just talking about, what did we talk about? Did we talk about video games? I think that's what we talked about.
I don't know.
A little bit. It was peppered in there.
I think we talked about the election.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just such a good time, and I talk to this guy on a regular basis. So Alex, I mean, man, we'll definitely keep in touch. I'm gonna probably be bugging you pretty soon for some Pokemon trades because I am getting into it, and I know you're a big Pokemon fan, and we need to start talking about that, man.
Yep.
But we talk on a regular basis, and so I know that we're still gonna keep in touch as well. But thank you so much for the email, man, and for the support. I mean, like you said, you've been with us for a long, long time. And hopefully you're going to get back into Final Fantasy XIV when the new expansion hits next summer. Because I know I'll be back into it. I'm sure Brian will probably pick it up at some point again.
I might do that. Gotta see that story.
Right. So we'll hopefully see you on there. So,
Yep. And
Cool.
to all our listeners, especially you, Alex, we met in real life. I feel like we're all best friends, so that's why I'm going to post all my gamer tags. We all game, minus Mark a little bit.
Whoa!
But we all game constantly. I know that I devote a lot of my free time to gaming. It's something in my life that relieves all the stress that I get from work and from real life stuff. So it's my go-to for like just relaxing. So we game all the time. We want to be your friends. We
Yeah.
want to talk more to you. And then
Gaming.
Gaming.
Game.
I like, I might not game as much as you, Brian, but when I find a game that tickles my brain just right, I'm all about it.
I tease you because you and I have very similar gaming palettes.
True.
So
High five. Thanks for the email.
thanks, Alex, man. Good to meet you.
Yeah, dude.
All right. So we've got 2 top 5 lists that we're doing this episode.
Oh, 5 your top.
We're going to do. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
What
I have no idea what that means. Torque. We're going to do one now and then one later on again in the show. And as you can tell by the title of the show, it is a little self-indulgence. So we are going to basically just gush about us because it's our show and we can do what we want. Boom. So the first top 5 list that we're going to be doing is our top 5 games that we played because of the Frozen North.
I like how, just before we start, it's not going to spoil anything. I like how my list looks more like what JJ's list looks like,
Right.
and his list looks more like what my list would look like had this been
True.
a normal top 5. It's
You
fun.
are
It's fun.
100% correct. Yeah, I mean, literally, like each and every single one. Like, you would flip them. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's fun.
And then Mark is just being himself. Typical.
My list is like pretty similar to your guys's.
Yeah, it's both of ours. Your list is if Brian and I's lists had a baby list. Think about that for a minute. Yeah, that's right.
It's unnatural.
All right, so top 5 games played because of TFN. These are, games that we would never have played most likely otherwise, but because something with the show opened our eyes, or we were forced to play it. In the case of a couple of these, I acknowledge that. We were able to play it, and we're glad we did. So, who wants to start?
You want me to start?
Go ahead, Mark.
Sure.
I'll start. My number 5 is Star Ocean Till the End of Time, and it is also Brian's number 5.
It is. All I want to say
Remember
is
this game?
all I say is, hey. All I say is, I don't want to hear nothing about safe spaces. I want to hear about them 4D spaces.
Yeah, I need 4D space.
Yeah. This is my game me play, TFN make me play, but yet me glad list.
Yeah.
I'm glad I played this game to see how ridiculous JRPGs can get.
Fact. I actually did enjoy this game quite a bit. I liked especially some of the early stuff.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also that Schadenfreude aspect of I know how much everyone else hates the twist, and that gives me a lot of joy. I'm glad that I played this game so that I could complain about it and reference it all the time. So that was it for me. What about you?
Like I said, I told JJ I think the part where the game became disappointing was because it was great up until the ship kind of appears in orbit and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be good because they're going to start bombarding a planet that doesn't even have near that technology, but they don't go that route.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a tale of two halves. Like you go, oh, this kid's going to get epic, and I love this, and I love the way this is ramping up, and then they just pull that rug out from under your feet,
right.
And you go,
because it's about to be an epic magic versus technology battle.
Correct, exactly. I thought we were going to get the clash of that, and then
there is a situation like that in the 5th one, the new one that just came out. And
that
they
is
do it
awesome.
A lot better, and I think you should give that a shot. It's only 20 hours long.
I want to play through all the Star Oceans because the gameplay was fine, the voice acting was fine, the story was fine to a point, and then I was like, oh no,
Right, it's that end.
it's the end. Yep.
And quite frankly, one of my biggest gripes is that, and this is with the whole series. Yes, it's called Star Ocean, but it's like you are going into it thinking, oh, cool, it's going to be half fantasy, half sci-fi. It's more like 85% fantasy. Especially this one. There's very little sci-fi as opposed to some of the other ones. So I really like the new one, though. I think you'll like it. And 2 is amazing. So cool. All right, there you go. Number 5, Star Ocean Till the End of Time. For Mark and Brian. My number 5 is the Uncharted series. I also want to say that, chances are I would not have played any of the games on my list if it weren't for my number one.
Gotcha.
So, we'll get into that obviously. I had always seen the Uncharted series, and I was like, oh, Indiana Jones, great. I love watching the movies, but do I really want to play a game? Whatever. Not really that much interest. I figured to give it a shot. I had heard nothing but good things about it. Then they came out with the Nathan Drake collection and played the first one, and I was hooked. Played through the second one relatively soon afterwards, and I still haven't played the third one yet.
So none of you have played 4 yet?
Nope.
Oh, man.
See, and that's the reaction. That's why. I really, really, absolutely adored Nathan Drake's character. He's so witty and just goofy about all this crap that is just falling around him. Because anybody else in those situations would be like,
he is literally Indiana Jones / Han Solo put into one character.
Yeah. And it's just so well done, and I have an absolute blast playing those, and I can't wait to finally play the third and fourth one. So that would be number 5 for me, the Uncharted series. Number 4, Mark. Well, your number 4 and mine are the same.
That's right. It's Silent Hill 2.
Yep.
And why is it that we've played this game, JJ?
Because it was recommended to us by Mr. Ryan of the Suikoden Revival movement.
Solid. Actually, I didn't play this game.
He didn't.
Well,
don't be fooled.
Yeah.
But I watched the entire game be
Right.
played by my wife. The brave one.
The brave one. It is... I really had no interest at all before this. I thought it was just a regular old horror game, and I was like, I don't really want to... I have no interest. I don't like horror games very much.
Yep.
Like, the scariest games that I would play prior was, like, Parasite Eve. And that's not scary at all. It's just, very science-y with a lot of mutations and
right.
kind of, a little disturbing. But Silent Hill 2 is... it really gets in your head, is, I guess, the best way to say it. I love watching movies that make you think, and I never thought anything horror-related would really do that. And that's exactly what this did. It, because the different endings, the interpretation of how you take the different scenes in the game.
Because
Because
it's non-literal.
God, listening to Ryan talk about it, you play the game and then you think, oh, I guess I kind of get it. Okay, sure. And then you listen to Ryan talk about it. It's like, oh my gosh, dude, this is way deeper than I even considered. If you haven't gone to listen to that episode yet, go check out our episode where we talked to him about Silent Hill 2. It's one of his favorite games as well. And he really, really just lights it up. It's awesome. I thought it was great. So Silent Hill
it was fantastic.
Anything else to say on it?
I mean, it's really messed up.
Yes, that's for sure.
And sound design. I mean, we always bring that up.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think any other games used sound quite like they did.
You like the radio static now?
No,
that was terrifying.
No.
Every time I heard it, I was like,
No.
Where is it? Oh, good stuff. So that's Mark and I's number 4, Silent Hill 2. Brian, solid.
Brian, number 4, Suikoden 1.
Woo!
Aptly titled Too Many Characters.
Wrong.
So I always joke that 108 is too many characters, and I'll always stand by that. That was my only big gripe about the game, was it just too many characters in the game to keep track of.
It's the best amount of
to
characters.
get attached to. However, that said, they were still fantastic games, and one was the first one obviously I was exposed to. Even though it had a inventory system that made me want to punch a bunch of baby cats.
Whoa.
And even though the war battles were just rock, paper, scissors, I really resonated with the more grounded approach to Japanese storytelling.
Yeah.
You guys know that I hate the typical tropes of JRPGs getting out of control metaphysically.
Yep.
This game reined that all in. Still had that really goofy Japanese humor at times, but it was such a grounded game, and I loved seeing the different regions and learning the history of the regions and the all the runes of power. Just honestly, I would have never played this game had it not been for the Frozen North. That's why it's on my list, and I genuinely liked it and would recommend it if you want to get into some of the more tame Japanese games.
I think this one and 2 are both $3 on PSN right
yes,
now, too.
totally recommend picking them up.
Yep, for sure. Solid. Way to go, Brian.
Thank you.
All right. Number 3. Mark, we have the same number 3.
Whoa, imagine that. Our number 3 is The Last of Us.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't have played this. I mean, I probably wouldn't have played Uncharted if I hadn't been on this podcast either.
Right.
But The Last of Us was the one that really stood out to me because the storyline is just haunting.
Right. I would not have played this if I hadn't played my number 1, but I would not have played Uncharted if I hadn't played this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made by the same people. This game was just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the story was mind-blowing. The characters were great. Voice acting, environments, combat arguably, depending on who you ask. I enjoyed it personally. I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the save system.
Mark is
Shocking.
if you haven't listened before, Mark is a save scummer, and you have to give him the ability to save after every footstep, or
I
else
need
it's
to,
not a
man.
fun
I
game.
need to. But I remember I wasn't going to play this game until I heard you guys just gushing about it. It really ramped up my excitement for the game, and I'm glad I played it because there's some unique, incredible stuff in it.
There were some amazing moments in that game.
Yeah, like trekking through the woods.
Oh
for
yeah,
instance.
yep,
Especially the ending.
yes.
Ending is still, like, it was unexpected.
It's difficult.
Even though you knew that-
you hear about twist endings and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, cool, it's got a really neat twist. This one, I played it, and I was like, oh, whoa!
And this is one of the first endings where I genuinely hated the way, like, I genuinely hated his decision, but completely understood it at the same time. Like, there were, like, two parts of me that were going. One was going, like, no, and the other part was like, I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
that's a horrible thing to do, but I get it.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
one of those endings that you have to play. I'm not gonna. I can't spoil it because it ruins the majesty of it. But you will literally be. They did such a good job of making you attached to the characters.
Right.
Yep.
That you went at the end. You went at one part. He was screaming no, and the other part was screaming. I would probably do that.
Yeah, it's like if somebody asked you, does it have a happy ending? How do you respond?
Yeah. Exactly. Depends on what you want.
Maybe. I guess.
Yeah.
In some ways. Yeah. Phenomenal game though. The Last of Us. So that's mine and Mark's number 3. Brian, number 3.
Meet number 3. Chrono Trigger, aptly titled Dragon Ball. No, anyway, so Chrono Trigger I wouldn't have played at all. This was one of the games that we were going to review and do a talkie talk about.
Yeah.
And I ended up loving not only the art style, which is I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, and the I think it was Akira Toriyama art. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Yes.
literally. Because I remember thinking that the main character kind of looked like Goku.
Yep.
So I really like the story. The story takes you through time. Obviously, it's called Chrono, and one of my favorite things is seeing like the prehistoric land all the way up to the future land and seeing the like consequences of
Yes.
like the decisions. There aren't really any decisions in the game, but it's really hard to explain. But like Lavos, for instance, the decision to summon him, and then even though I didn't necessarily like this is not even my final form yet boss battle of Lavos, I thought it was cleverly done because he wasn't just transforming. You were basically breaking through shells to find out what it really is. Like at first you're like, whoa, it's this big creature. And then you get inside of it and you're like, oh, it's like a creature inside a creature. Okay, this is just a shell. And then you beat that and you're like, oh. And that's when it hit me. I was like, I was rolling my eyes like typical Japanese. This is not my final form.
Right.
But like I said, I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan, so I watched the Frieza saga with glee, so I can put up with a little bit not my final form action. But I like the way they did it. I like that you discovered something at the end that you were like, whoa.
Yeah, definitely.
Whoa, okay.
It's hands down. I mean, it's one of the best JRPGs ever made.
Yeah,
It's honestly also one of the best games ever made. Just well put together.
The music, the combat, all the unique characters were all top
Absolutely.
notch.
Yep.
I just love the way the game stays fresh because every, 4 or 5 hours you get to go to a brand new setting with all new characters and art style and everything.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I have yet to see another game that does time travel that well.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not talking from like a logical standpoint. There's plenty of arguments against that, and it's with anything time travel related. But I never sat there and questioned, like, wait a minute, that couldn't happen.
Right.
I didn't even think about it because I was just so immersed in having such a good time with it. So yeah, that's Brian's number 3, Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger.
All right. What are we at? Number 2? Number 2, Mark.
My number 2 is Mass Effect Trilogy, but it's on someone else's list later, so we'll talk about it then.
Boom. My number 2 is Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
Oh, yeah.
Blown away. Absolutely blown away. Would never have even... I had no interest in playing Metal Gear Solid. I had no interest in playing any of them. I played Metal Gear Solid 2, and I had fun with it, but I was like, if all the other games are the exact same as this, then I feel like I don't need to worry about it.
Right.
But this... I wish you had played it already.
Yeah.
Because I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it as well. But the open world setting, the mission structure, the characters... even how Japanese it gets at some points.
That's part of Metal Gear.
It really, really is just so well done, and it's such an amazing game. And I literally wanted to do everything, but I just have so much else to play that being a completionist is kind of tough when you've got such a huge backlog.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you at some point I'll still want to go back and kind of do some of the extra stuff that I haven't done before. There's so much to do in that game. And I played Ground Zeroes first, and I did not like it very much.
Right.
I thought it was okay, and I was terrible at it. The controls were weird, and didn't know what I was doing. Couldn't figure out how to sneak around very well, and it was just bad. But by the end of Metal Gear Solid 5... I mean, I was a pro. I'm curious to go back and play Ground Zeroes again.
And see if you're better at it.
See if I can rock it out this time. But man, I absolutely adore that game. And our buddy Urkable Gamer, who's been on the show a few times, he is a really, really big fan of the game as well. And I watched a couple of his Let's Plays on it, and he gushes about it even more than I am right now. Great game though, so I highly, highly recommend it to anybody. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is my number 2.
All right.
Brian.
My number 2 is a sequel to one of the games on my list, Suikoden 2. Still too many characters. However, here's what I'll say about Suikoden 2. Here's what I'll say about Suikoden 2. Suikoden 2, this is why it's my number 2 on this list. It did everything that 1 did, but did it better in every way, and also had the ability to keep me interested in the gameplay.
Yeah.
Right? The inventory system was much more optimized. Even though I'll always harp on that 108 is way too many characters to keep track of, they did so much better job of giving each one of them personality and flavor that I was like, okay, if this constant, because the first one there were some people had to join your army. I was like, I don't even know who this is.
Look, you need several cooks and innkeepers.
I know, but
You gotta have somebody to do the laundry, Brian.
Yeah, they had no personality, and I didn't care. But in 2, each one you kind of recruited had their own little, tiny little, almost Mass Effectian story where you're like, oh, okay, I know this person, I identify with this person.
Yep.
And
should have played 3.
And I plan on playing through. Honestly, as good as Suikoden 2 was, I really do plan on playing more of that series.
What you're describing as far as the characters is amplified even more.
And I feel like they keep improving on that. Because my biggest gripe when I played through the first one is, why have 108 characters if you're not going to focus on their story? To kind of chop that down a little bit, I was like, okay, they could have a lot more characters with what they did. I still think 108 is too many, so maybe by the time I get to Suikoden 5, I'll be like, 108 is perfect. But I don't know. I'm not going to promise anything, but and the other thing is, again, like Suikoden 1, it avoided that classic JRPG trap of getting stupid metaphysically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, the last boss did turn into a giant 3-headed golden dragon, but it was because the rune that he adorned, right?
Yeah.
The beast rune. Okay? So what did he turn into? A beast.
And
right?
you didn't fight him in space.
Yeah, and you weren't floating. You were fighting him. Well, I think you were fighting him in...
and it wasn't a group of 6 friends joining up to sneak past and save the world single-handedly without anyone else's help.
It was an army.
It was an army.
Yeah.
Defeating another army.
I like that grounded level of... I'm a Western gamer. You guys know that. I identify with Western realism. Okay, I say realism, but there are games I like that aren't. But hey, let me explain. I identify with, like, Mass Effect, as unrealistic as that is, it tries to stay rooted in some sort of physics reality. I like that. I don't identify with metaphysics as much. So Suikoden 2 is just kind of like my like, I was like, oh wow, okay, I see the breadth of how Japanese storytelling can work without falling into the traps.
Very true.
So I was very impressed. So Suikoden 2 is my number 2.
Cool. Mark, number 1.
My number 1 is the Witcher series. You chipped me too soon.
Why
As far as I'm concerned, the Witcher
Why is
series...
that too soon?
Because I have a lot more to say. You're going to need more chips.
No, I chipped you just on your choice. Not because it's a bad choice. Can you honestly tell me you would not have played this if it wasn't for the show?
Yes.
Actually,
Really?
Maybe.
Didn't I?
Hold on. Let me think about that.
Am I not the one that kept gushing about The Witcher that you would like it?
I was aware
Right,
of The
but
Witcher
I
beforehand.
feel like he would have still played it regardless.
My interest wouldn't have come until like
Later
after The Witcher 3 was out.
I'll
and
allow it.
super popular.
All right. I retract my
I
chip.
remember I had like at one point long ago I had played the opening segment of The Witcher 2 and I was just like, this is too much. I don't know what to do. I can't handle this. And then Brian gave me the courage to
Soldier on.
It's the courage. The motivation to soldier on. I got through like 2/3 of the original Witcher even though I hated that one.
Yeah.
Did you really hate it?
I hated aspects of it.
Yeah, the gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The accessibility aspect.
Yep.
Right.
Then I beat The Witcher 2 and then I got into The Witcher 3 and I was just like, oh man.
Even my brother who's playing The Witcher 3 right now said that everyone he's like, if you go into Witcher 3 thinking it's going to like the amount of improvement from even 2 to 3, let alone 1 to 3 is so.
It's like a different game.
That's exactly what my brother said. He's like, this is not even anything like Witcher 2.
I think it's so cool. I'm so glad that I played and beat 1 and 2 first, which obviously 3 is hands down the best game. But to be able to see that level of improvement, because I played 1, and I agree with Mark. It's not like mechanically
It's rough.
and getting through it is a slog, and it's like it's got a whole freaking chapter where you're like, what am I doing? Like with the swamp area, like why am I even here? Then you play 2, and it's like, oh my gosh, they improved it so much. It's still not, spectacular, and I'm not like in love with it. And honestly, after playing 2, I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna want to play 3 because how can they clearly the improvement from 2 to 3 dwarfs the improvement from 1 to 2.
It's
and
crazy.
It's hard to put into words. I really can't. It is unbelievable, and it's on my top 5 games of all time.
Right.
Witcher 3. So.
And it is worth playing the other 2 though because CD Projekt has so much affection for the lore of these games.
You can tell.
There's so many references to previous games, to the books, stuff that you would not even notice if you hadn't played them or read them.
Yep.
And I mean, I beat the game and eventually I got the audiobooks for the Witcher novels, and they might be some of my favorite books now too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's just incredible.
It is.
This wasn't on my list mainly because I think I would have played The Witcher 3 regardless.
Right.
As an RPG fan, if anything, I would put Witcher 1 and 2 on my list. But I still liked these other games better, which is why they're not.
Right.
So they would be honorable mentions, I guess. But I would have skipped to 3.
Exactly.
And
that's kind of...
I'm glad I didn't.
I think I would be the same way.
Yeah.
I probably would have been like, 3 looks cool. I don't know if I can play the other ones.
Right.
In fact, I had read many Reddit threads about, like, is it worth it to play the other 2 first? It's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
It's a loaded question. It really
Yeah.
is. I can say for me, I'm glad I did, but it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to go back and play through 1 and 2, especially now. And if you played 3 already and you're thinking about going back, then I'd probably say, yeah, unless you really want the lore, I would say maybe go just read up on it or something.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's Mark's number 1, The Witcher series. Solid. Okay. All right. I retract my chip, sir.
Nice.
Thank you.
My number 1 is the same as Mark's number 2, the Mass Effect trilogy.
Whew.
Out of everything we've done with this entire show and the new games that we played and things that got introduced me, this was hands down the most influential thing that has come to me. I thought the Mass Effect trilogy was a bunch of bro games with just guns, where it was like, oh, cool, a big. I literally thought it was Gears of War, like big tough brute dudes with big guns just shooting stuff and killing aliens, and that's what I thought it was. Very short-sighted of me, and I completely acknowledge that because I learned more about it, and through Brian talking about it and trying out the first one, I was like, this is not what I thought it was. It's kind of interesting, and I had played Dragon Age, So I kind of knew once I found out it was the same developers and that they compared it to that, I was like, okay, well, I like the gameplay in that. So I'll try it out. And then I played 2 and 3 and was just blown away.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot believe that I almost missed this.
Yep.
I would have I would have kicked myself. It's so unbelievable. And because of those, it opened my mind to try all these other ones too. Mm-hmm. Told me to be like, even if you don't think it looks good just at face value, ask around, find out a little bit more about it, give it a chance, because you might be surprised.
And you guys kind of said something when you guys were playing through them that kind of made me feel like, okay, it wasn't just me, but the games are not short.
No.
But you literally lose track of time.
Yeah.
And because I remember I played 3 through a month there when I was unemployed between 2 jobs. It came out like in the perfect time, and I had a free time to play it. And I remember I just sat down in like 3 or 4 days, and I remember when it was over, I was like, man, that was kind of short. And I looked, it was like 45 to 60 hours played. I was like,
Yep.
what? Like,
Right.
It doesn't even feel like that at all. So yeah, when you guys said it, it was like you lose hours. I was like, yeah, I had the same issue when I played it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'd played the original Mass Effect like right when it came out, and I got to the moon, and I was way under leveled for the moon, and I had like fought through multiple reloads, and eventually killed all the enemies on the moon, leveled up, and
You saved
the
that
game.
for each kill.
I didn't actually. This is essential to the story, and then the game froze,
Oh,
and I lost all that progress, and I just never went back.
Yeah, that'll do
And
it.
ever since then, they were just on my back burner.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for reviewing them and Brian being super passionate,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have played the other ones. So thanks.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the new one.
Yeah, it looks
I
great.
can't
Yeah,
tell
dude.
you how absolutely ecstatic I am to try it out. And what's funny is I'm a big JRPG guy. I'm a big fantasy guy, and I like Dragon Age, but I will play Mass Effect over Dragon Age any day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down.
The thing that The Witcher and Mass Effect made me realize is that like you've got like your goofy, fanciful games, and
Right.
you've got your dark and gritty games, but those aren't the only 2 options.
No.
You can have something
Right.
that's just very, I don't even know how to word it, holistic.
Yeah. I mean, they're both very. Yeah, it's hard to put it in words. I know what
Because
you're trying to
they
drive
are
at.
not gritty games.
No.
People like to say things are dark and gritty, but they're not.
No.
They're just honest.
Yeah.
So there we go. My number 1 game that I played because of Frozen North, Mass Effect trilogy, and Mark's number 2. Brian, what's your number 1, sir?
My number 1 is sometimes when people talk games up, I'm not going to reveal it yet. Sometimes when people talk games up constantly and you play them, it never really matches what they say, right? Maybe they come from a place of nostalgia, or maybe they come from a place of like they like a type of gameplay you don't like. This particular game, because you guys talked it up all the time and just talked and just gushed about all the different scenes and stuff, and Final Fantasy VI is my number 1.
Woo! Yeah.
That I would not have I probably would have played it way down the line when I felt like it, but it was definitely a game that I played specifically
Well,
for
it's
the
a part of
Frozen
your
North.
journey.
Yeah, it was part of my journey that I'm still on to this day. But Final Fantasy VI, I went into it with trepid, like, caution, because I was like, okay, they're talking it way too far up, and it's probably not gonna just cool your jets. Is probably not gonna live up to the hype. It did though. What an incredible journey that game is, right? So from the bad guy actually winning to me accidentally leaving a ninja behind, to
Forgot about that.
yeah, to seeing the what are is it the Esper world?
Yep.
Yeah.
To seeing the Esper world, to exploring the depths of insanity that Kefka has, to the music,
Oh my
just
goodness.
sitting on the world map,
The Opera House.
to the opera house, to the goofiness of Ultros, to the like sitting on the world map and just listening to the music go. All of that stuff hit the hype, and when I remember playing it, I was like, okay, I understand now. I get what everyone's saying, even though it had typical JRPG silliness, like the Kefka,
Oh,
the Kefka. What do I call it? The totem pole, the Kefka totem pole.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It didn't detract at all from the journey that game was. Honestly, I think this is going to sound like a weird comparison, but when I think back to Final Fantasy VI, I think back to movies like The Neverending Story.
Yeah.
Just like that. That's what I related to the most. It's just another world that's so. I don't think you guys realize how nostalgic Neverending Story is to me. Like, I just think of that world as something that's like greater, and that's what Final Fantasy VI is to me.
Yeah.
When I played through it, I was like, oh man, this kind of reminds me of Neverending Story. It's weird. It's weird to say that.
No,
but yeah, it was a journey, and so
really
that's why,
glad you liked it.
Yeah, that's why it's my number one. I wouldn't say it's weird. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Final Fantasy because I tend to lean towards the newer 3D ones.
Sure.
But as far as 2D JRPGs, man, that hands down. How can you?
You had me when you were describing you playing through it. You had me thinking back to it the first time I played through it in like the mid '90s, and it really was. I've talked about how The Witcher ruined me for video games.
Yeah.
Like nothing will ever reach that height. That was a Witcher moment for me.
Yeah.
The original Final Fantasy VI in the '90s. It was like I haven't played something this special.
Yeah,
yet
but
in
you
my life.
look at it, and every game you play forward, you compare it to that.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. I was so surprised that the hype met the actual game because I was fully going like, yeah,
And we hyped it up a lot.
they
Yes,
did.
they
That's
did.
what I was worried about. I was like, yeah, they hyped it up a lot. I should probably go into this with caution, and it surpassed it. I was like, okay, even though I left Shadow behind to die,
Jeez.
it's just such a cool scene. He literally just does what he's planning.
That
And
means
you're
you didn't
like,
get
oh,
his dreams.
yeah, it's all right.
All right. So there we have it. Our top 5 games that we played because of the Frozen North. Moving on. We got another side quest from our buddy Isaac.
Woo!
I will let him take it away.
Wow, it's episode 100 already. I have to say, I could hardly imagine the type of success that this podcast would be when I started listening to it in the summer of 2013. So much has changed since then, not only for the show, but also for my own life. And while I no longer write for the site, and I haven't been on the podcast in a while, a year goes by pretty fast, I can't understate how much the site and the podcast mean for me. I remember when I first heard about the Frozen North, JJ had sent an email to the RP Gamer podcast, and the host read it on the air. I remember hearing about a bunch of guys who put together a fun, family-friendly podcast about games with an emphasis on story-focused games. To be honest, I wasn't expecting much when I listened to one of the first podcasts back in 2013, but I was pleasantly surprised. The chemistry that JJ, Mark, and Brian portrayed when they recorded still contains some of the most charming and hilarious banter that I've ever heard on any podcast. That chemistry didn't come from corporate schedules or from anyone trying to be funny, but it was born from a pure, unadulterated love of gaming that permeated every aspect of the podcast. Soon, when I began to email the Frozen North about comments they had made or whatnot, I was amazed by the level of dedication that JJ showed to responding to every comment I made, and by how much he really loved games. It's no wonder that him and I are friends to this day. His geniality set him apart from most of the internet. He didn't try to be genuine. He really was. In the summer of 2014, when I was given the opportunity to write for the site, I was truly amazed. For the first time in my life, I was given the opportunity to write about games on the internet. I loved every second of it. JJ, Mark, and Brian were all as genuinely excited about having me on the team as I was to join my favorite podcast as a content creator. No longer was I content to wait on the new episode of The Frozen North to emerge every week on iTunes. I was now involved in something bigger than that. I was part of a community. All the guys deserve credit for taking a chance on someone from the other side of the country and welcoming him into a fold of friends that has been around for years. They accepted me for who I am, Christian, conservative, all of it, and didn't shy away from me in the slightest. The 2 episodes that I was a part of recording were some of the most interesting experiences in my life. I had never been part of a podcast before, so to join a podcast, if only for 2 episodes, was the experience of a lifetime. When I went behind the scenes, so to speak, at the Frozen North, it was there that I saw just how much these guys cared about gaming, how deep their love truly was, and how genuine their personalities are when the microphone is off. I will miss the Frozen North, for its humor, for the fun that we've had these past 3.5 years, and for the experience that it's been for me. For the rest of my life, I will not forget the feeling that I got when I was asked to join a podcast that I loved as much as I do this one. It's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed it very much. Much as the rest of the crew is moving on to different stages of their lives, I am as well. Since February of this year, I've been writing at GoombaStomp.com, a video game website dedicated to a wide swath of genres, but with a focus on Nintendo. Working there has been a lot of fun and certainly an eye-opening experience. In 9 months, I've written around a dozen articles and more still to come. Overall, though, I really am going to miss the Frozen North. It's been a great 3.5 years, and I will miss the many laughs that we've had over the years. Even though I'm continuing on with Goomba Stomp, the Frozen North will always be my first online writing gig, and for that it will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you, Mark, JJ, and Brian. Thank you to Matt and everyone else who's contributed to the podcast in the past. Even though the podcast is ending, you guys made a big difference in my life, and I will always be grateful for the opportunity you gave me. You guys are the best. Keep on gaming.
Oh man, Isaac, with the heartfelt goodbye there.
Yeah.
Man, he is like seriously one of the nicest guys that I think, and I say that about everybody so far, but I can't. It's true. We've met some of the best people
We have.
doing this show. And Isaac, he fantastic writer, really young guy, and he just has such a great future ahead of him. Hopefully,
I always
he
loved.
keeps doing-
Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I always loved reading his reviews because he was very thorough,
Absolutely.
very in depth about what he was talking about, and he was very knowledgeable too.
Definitely, and
Very good writer.
And as he mentioned, he's writing for a website called Goomba Stomp now. It's just GoombaStomp.com. But they have a whole bunch of articles and stuff on there, and he's written a handful of them on there. And I've plugged a few of them on the Facebook page and stuff whenever I see them go up, and always interesting to read. He just does such a great job with it.
His interview with Ganon was really cool.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
one I was thinking
Yes.
of. I was like, he
Yep.
did some interview or something a while
Yep.
ago. That's the one. Definitely go check it out. I mean, go check them all out, but go check that one out too. Isaac, thank you to you, man. You
Yep.
were really, really great with us, and we're I don't want to say we're going to miss you because I'm sure we'll still keep
Oh,
in
yeah.
touch as well. But we are definitely looking forward to seeing what you do with Goomba Stomp in the future
Yeah,
and
fantastic
beyond.
writer.
So, yeah, absolutely. So thank you again very much for the kind words, and we really, really appreciate everything you did for us.
Yep. Add me to all the things. Add me to all the things. We'll be gamer friends. I want to be gamer friends with all y'all. Okay? All
Get
y'all.
Get on that Steam,
Yeah.
No, that's Steam.
or we'll get on.
I think he is on Steam.
Is he?
Yeah.
I'll have to add you on
I'm
Steam.
gonna add
And then
my
when I get a Switch,
I'm gonna add my Steam,
There you go.
BattleNet, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox Live stuff, so y'all can be my best friend.
All right. We got another shout out also to, while Isaac was the first guy that we brought on to do some writing for us, we had somebody come on who did a whole bunch of side quests for us initially. Just did a whole bunch of contributions, a couple of top 5 lists if I remember correctly, and really, really big into, he liked retro music a lot as well.
yeah,
And he's another big Nintendo fan. Raul
Yes.
from the Super Smart Gaming podcast.
always liked hearing that silky smooth voice.
Absolutely, he had the good voice for it, and we commented on that every single time too. Like, oh yeah, Raul's talking again. Another really, really great guy, and we can't thank him enough. I don't know that Super Smart Gaming is doing much anymore. I think they may have called it. If not, I apologize. But even so, I think their episodes are still out there. So go look them up because I think I said this when we first talked about them, like, a couple of years ago. They are people who just genuinely had a good time talking about video games.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the hallmark of a good show, is not somebody who's just like, okay, we're going to review this game today and we're going to talk about the battle system and the characters, and they got in there, they laughed, they joked, they just talked about things that they loved, and it was just a pleasure to listen to. And having him come on here and bring his insight, because the guy's very, very intelligent too.
Yes.
To the contributions that he made and everything, just really, really fantastic stuff. Can't thank you enough, Rolo, man. So,
Yeah, man. Friend me up.
all right. With that, we got another side quest. I'm not going to tell you who it's from. I will let him introduce himself. Here we go.
Hi, Frozen North listeners. My name is Kyle. If you've been listening to the show in the past, well, we haven't met, but you already know me. I'm Brian's brother, the brother that he watches play video games. Just a little bit of history for you guys, but Brian and I actually started playing JRPGs at the exact same time. As kids, our mother would often take us to Blockbuster to rent NES games. And now, if there's ever a sentence that shows someone's age, it's that right there. Now I'll go ahead and pause for a moment to let the younger listeners Google what Blockbuster is on their smartphones or tablets. Okay, great. Now we're all up to speed. Now this was a time that obviously predates the internet, and we were pretty young, so we didn't really have any subscription to gaming magazines or really do much reading to begin with. So basically, the way my brothers and I would pick out games to rent was purely based off how awesome the game's box art was. Now that often led us to rent games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Ninja Gaiden over and over and over again. We were either gluttons for punishment or incredibly slow learners because those games were very difficult and would often result in rage quits and defaulting back to the safety of playing Mario, Paperboy, any of those games instead. Yes, rage quitting was not only a thing in the 80s and 90s, but I truly believe rage quitting originated specifically because of the NES. Now fast forward a few years to when SNES came out, we'd become video game veterans of the NES era at that time. We had games such as The Legend of Zelda under our belt, and we were feeling more adventurous. Cue our newfound excitement over fantasy adventure games. Enter Final Fantasy II, or known in Japan as Final Fantasy IV.
Here comes a new challenger!
This game is one of the single best highlights of my childhood in gaming. I have vivid memories of sitting upstairs with Brian playing Final Fantasy II on the TV in my parents' bedroom. We would sit there for hours in awe of how completely cool Kain and Cecil looked as characters. We ran around castles, explored fields, battling several different creatures, and we never ever progressed the story. I don't think we could ever figure out what to actually do in the game. I'm sure we thought the whole game was just random battles on the world map. In fact, I couldn't name you a single other character at the time besides the characters you start with at the very beginning. But still, we were hooked. JRPGs were now on our radar. Now fast forward several more years, and while my brother went down more the traditional action-adventure game path with games like Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, I never quite kicked my JRPG addiction. If you were to ask me during the PS1, PS2 years what my 25 favorite video games of all time were, I'd probably rattle off 20 JRPGs. Brian, he never quite caught on the same enthusiasm following our SNES glory years. His top 25 titles at that time probably would have consisted of games like any Dragon Ball Z game ever made, or Ace Combat, or SimCity. But due to the extreme peer pressure from myself and other people like JJ, Brian has branched out recently and played some of the classic JRPGs like Xenogears, Chrono Trigger, and most of the Final Fantasy series. But since some of the less big-name JRPGs will probably never be on his scope, let's go ahead and put them there. So without further ado, in keeping with Frozen North tradition, let me present to you my top 5 list. My top 5 JRPGs I want Brian to watch me play. Number 5, Legend of Legaia. This game flew under the radar due to Final Fantasy VIII being released around the same time. The game was produced by Takahiro Kaneko of Wild Arms fame. Now visually, the game looks very similar to Wild Arms, which is basically like comparing it to a dumpster fire. Now, I know you play games only for their graphics, but I think you should watch me play this game simply because of the fantastic combat system. The plot, while long and interesting at times, is pretty throwaway. It centers around some crazy mist or some crap like that that turns creatures into monsters. And each character gets their own special powerful gauntlet because of some chosen one JRPG cliche that gives them special abilities. And you know, I have no clue what the title Legend of Legaia actually means from a narrative standpoint, because from my memory, the game makes no mention of it. The battle system is what elevates this game. Imagine crossing a traditional turn-based RPG with a fighting game like Street Fighter. You have a combo system where you can chain together different types of martial arts-focused attacks. If you enter your moves in a specific order, it will result in a super attack called either Fighting Art or Hyper Art. You have to learn some of these arts by trial and error, while others are taught to you throughout the game or by collecting certain items. And it's unfortunate that this game flew under the radar so much because it really took a chance with its unique fighting style, and I think it miraculously pulls it off.
Number 4. Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions.
This game is my favorite Final Fantasy game. Now go ahead and let that sink in for a minute. It's better than Final Fantasy VII, which is my number one most nostalgic childhood gaming memory. Now it's hard to say it, but it's true. Final Fantasy Tactics is better. And sorry, JJ, it's better than Final Fantasy VI too. This game is an enhanced remake of the PlayStation 1 version with some added features like cutscenes and some playable characters from other Final Fantasy titles. As the name implies, this game is a tactical strategy RPG, and it's set in the Ivalice universe, which is the same place Final Fantasy XII would later take place. The story and characters are fantastic. You assume the role of Ramza, a noble-born turned mercenary, when he must decide between his heritage or his low-born best friend, when that same friend starts a revolution, resulting in civil war. The game is one of the darkest and most mature plots of any Final Fantasy in memory, and Ramza is possibly my favorite lead character in the entire series. The best part, though, is the job system. You will get lost for hours just grinding away different jobs in an attempt to come up with truly game-breaking combinations for each character or your party in general. And it's pretty easy to do. My only complaint is some of the special characters are too powerful from the onset without needing much tinkering. A party with Cloud Strife, Balthier, and Thunder God Sid is deadly beyond belief. You definitely need to watch me play this game. We don't want to anger Thunder God Sid, trust me.
Number 3. Xenosaga Episodes 1 through 3.
It's not possible to recommend just one game in this series. This is a classic case of the series being better than the sum of its parts. Each game has some pretty significant flaws that I can point out, and the combat changes quite significantly between each entry as well. The story was rushed because they intended to release the game in more episodes, but then had to cram it into 3, causing the second and especially the third game to fly at breakneck speeds. But the production value is high, and it's a space sci-fi setting which I know you enjoy, and even though the plot was rushed, it is still fantastic and it's wild. Let me go ahead and give you a brief and coherent summary. A mysterious plate-like object is found at an archaeological dig in northern Kenya. The object, named Zohar, was responsible for the disappearance of lost Jerusalem, forcing mankind to escape into outer space. 4,000 years later, the Galaxy Federation Army, with the space cruiser Woglinde as its flagship, was on a mission to investigate the disappearance of the planet Ariadne. The anti-Gnosis android Cosmos was deployed on the Woglinde in the case of the attack by the mysterious enemy Gnosis. Shion, the chief of Vector's first R&D division, and development members were also on board for Cosmos' startup experiments. While the fleet continued their investigation, the experiments were not going smoothly and Cosmos was not ready for combat. While investigating the area where the disappearance occurred, the Woglinde found an object thought to be the Zohar and stored it. Shion was attacked by the Gnosis that had infiltrated the ship. As she lost consciousness, she saw an image of a mysterious girl, and she called herself Nephilim. Shion was helpless, but Cosmos self-activated and saved her. And that just basically covers the first hour of Episode 1. The game is off the wall. You will love the story as you watch me play through it.
Number 2. Chrono Cross.
45 characters. That is the ideal amount of recruitable characters if you consider 108 to be too many. This game has that. And while it suffers from the same problem found in Suikoden, where a lot of the characters feel arbitrary, the design of the characters in the game are truly remarkable. In fact, this might have the best visuals and art design of any PlayStation 1 era JRPG, and it's right up there with Final Fantasy IX. The color palette is bright, it's vivid, and it really establishes that tropical setting of Chrono Cross, and I think that sets it apart just enough to trump even the fantastic Final Fantasy IX visually. The true flaw of this game, if you can call it that, is that it has Chrono in the name. This game is not the Chrono Trigger successor most people wanted, and I think most of the negative feelings towards this game come from that. If we look at it on its own merits, it really stands out. This game truly is one of my top 5 JRPGs of all time. The plot is decent, and involves alternate worlds and Freaky Friday-style body swaps. The primary characters are really fantastic, and it has some really remarkable and interesting antagonists as well. And the combat style is pretty traditional, and it has a few quirks that you may like or you may not, but it's not enough either way that it will make or break the game for you. What this game does well, though, so well in fact that it does it better than any other game in the history of this world or any alternate world, is with the soundtrack. I still listen to it all these years later. My favorite track goes like this. Da 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 do da 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 do do Or it goes something like that, at least. If you don't watch me play this game, at least listen to me play it.
Honorable mention, Nino Cooney.
I know Mark Nino couldn't get into this, but that's just because you couldn't do any city planning in this game. This game is Pokemon in the art style of Studio Ghibli as developed by Level 5. Nothing more needs to be said.
Honorable mention, Lunar Series.
Localized by one of my favorite publishers, Working Designs, these games were the standard JRPG that didn't try to redefine the genre, but merely set the bar higher. This series did everything right, though it does play it safe in some areas of its design.
Honorable mention, Valkyria Chronicles.
This is about as bro-gamer of a JRPG as you can find. A third-person military shooter isometric JRPG, you will have to keep track of your own kill-death ratio, though.
Number 1, Persona 3 and 4.
I know how much you loved high school, and now you can go back. You play as a Japanese high school student in both of these games. You can do awesome things like attend drama club or sports practice after school, get a part-time job, study, hang out with friends, or if you're feeling extra frisky, you can date 12 girls at the same time. Sound boring? It's not, because while living your routine high school life, the demon world has other plans. Persona, and Shin Megami Tensei games in general, tend to focus their overarching plots on demons, light versus dark, and morality. In these games, you play as a high school kid with the rare ability to be able to summon a persona, which is a physical manifestation of your personality, and really the only way to fight these demons. You build your team of other persona users by meeting other kids in your high school or in your town. Building these relationships might seem pointless, but they're not. Outside of providing outstanding narrative and important character building that makes the cast of both of these games the most relatable and likable cast in any game I've played, you also increase your ability to fuse together more powerful personas. Oh, did I not mention you can collect a crap ton of different personas and then fuse them together to get different creations and abilities? My bad. Now, doing your boring tasks like studying or going to clubs after school, it also increases your character stats, allowing for different abilities and opening up new dialogue options. Everything you do in this game has a purpose, and it's addicting. The art style is amazing with anime cutscenes and the whole Japanese flair. The voice acting is superb.
Nanako.
Daddy.
So this is where you've been.
When Mom was still with us, you and me and Mom would come to this place to pick flowers. It was just the three of us.
It was.
Why, Mom? Tell me, why did you have to leave me? Daddy, I just want to see her so bad.
Nanako.
Daddy, I think sometimes you've forgotten about Mom. You hid all her pictures, and you never ever talk about her.
The music is a catchy combination of J-pop mixed with electronic dance music. The gameplay is varied between High School Simulator, Dungeon Crawler, and some sort of Pokemon-style gotta catch 'em all with the added ability to do fusions. But ultimately, the game boils down to the best cast of characters, thrust into some of the best storytelling the genre has to offer, sprawled out over a whopping 80-hour tale. Don't miss me play through this one, it's too good. Alright, well, that wraps up my segment. While Brian is watching me play these games, I hope the rest of you will go ahead and give the ones that you haven't tried a shot. I want to thank you guys for listening, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to JJ in the studio for the weather forecast.
And we're back, apparently, with the weather. Thank you very much, Kyle. You guys had no idea that he was going to be sending that in.
No, that was
I didn't.
fantastic.
So, boom.
I just want to say something. False. False. 108 is the best.
He's
amount
going
of
Dwight
characters.
on you. He's going Dwight on you.
I mean, 45 is not bad.
45
but
is
it's
pretty good.
Not 108. That's true.
Yeah.
I like 45. 45 is a good number.
And on Chrono Cross, you can't get all 45 on the first playthrough. Which, sweet, you can get all 108 on one playthrough. I mean, you have to.
I think multiply 45 by 2 1/3,
Yeah.
and then you're getting close to the right amount of characters.
Yep. So let me just explain something about this last thing we just heard. So Kyle 100% nailed it. Final Fantasy 2 or 4 as it's known now was our first foray into it. And he's right. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing. We kept getting to that mist dragon in the cave and getting obliterated. But it definitely opened our eyes to more grand worlds in games. And Kyle, I'll be just quite frank, Kyle's always been the smartest one in our family. Like, I remember not too recently, or not too long ago, he was going to school in my apartment. He was staying kind of at my apartment and going to school up here because my parents live about 45 minutes away from Johnson County Community College, and he was taking a physics class and just kind of learning through the book. Like, he didn't have to go to class to, just getting A's. He's always been more intelligent than I have, and I think that's where because JRPGs take a little bit more patience and a little bit more, like, I liked simpler games back then. I was kind of that dumb kid who just liked adventure games. I didn't have the patience to figure out the complexities of JRPGs, at least at a young age. Now I do, but back then it was like, I don't want to figure that out. I just want to play the game, right? So that's why I always watched my brother play these games, because he always had this like deep love for not only the incredible stories, but also he had that mind to like figure some. Because he was right, we didn't have internet back then. I remember when he discovered Final Fantasy VII. Now he ended up buying a guide for that eventually, but we didn't have like quick go on the internet and look up what to do with his boss. It was all about figuring it out and trial and error. And so yeah, he's always been the smart one in the family, and I always kind of watched him play these really complex games as a kid because it was easier to do that. Kind of like Mark watches his wife play scary games.
Exactly.
Rather than you trying to wade through it, you just watch somebody who has a better grasp of it do it. So yeah, and as far as number one, I definitely he's been talking to me about Persona 3 forever, and it's definitely on my radar. And whenever I get to that point where I'm like, all right, it's time for a JRPG, I think I'm going to fire that one up, because he did just that. Talks nothing but good about the Persona series.
Him and I have very, very similar tastes when it comes to games.
Yep.
Which leads me to believe that I haven't played the Persona games, but I'm probably going to like them a lot. Considering he, is in love with them.
Yep.
I remember being at your apartment, same one you're talking about.
Yep.
Where I don't even remember what brought it up, but I think it was we were over there gaming or something. I think it was actually a Geekend when we were playing StarCraft or something.
Yep.
And he was playing Rogue Galaxy.
Yes,
that's right. And another game that I had never played before. But he started. We kind of like, I was asking him about it and stuff, and he was like, oh yeah, I love RPGs and that. I was like, oh cool. We started saying, have you played this? Have you played this? And then I go, have you played? And it was like a game that I didn't think too many people knew of, because it was one that I bought on a whim and whatever. And I go, have you heard of this game Xenogears? And he's like, oh, it's like my favorite game ever.
Yes.
And I was like, holy crap, somebody else has heard of this and he's played it. So anytime a new JRPG comes out, chances are Kyle's going to be somebody that I'm talking to about it at some point. I have to disagree with his Legend of Legaia pick for you. I do not like that game at all. Not necessarily because everything he said is right, and the combat system is unique. You use these fighting abilities and stuff, but because you have to input all these commands, it makes it really, really annoying because the game is so grindy. You have to level up. You have to go out and farm these things, and because the combat is so involved, it's like if I'm grinding, that's the same reason you like to play it on handheld. I like to just do it mindlessly, where I don't have to worry about it or think about it. You really can't do that in that game. You have to be aware of what input you're doing and stuff. So it's kind of now. Granted, I have not beaten the game. I have played it like maybe 4 times, gotten about maybe 10, 15 hours in, and then just been like, can't do it. I plan on beating it eventually at some point, and I've got more discipline now, so I probably could if I gave it another shot. But definitely play Xenosaga 1 through 3.
I have them. I have them on my shelf. They're definitely. I think I'm going to do Persona 3, and then next up would be because then the Xenosaga is all I have left in the Xeno.
Let me know.
Xenoverse.
Let me know when you play Persona 3 because I have it too, and I want to try it as well. Maybe we can play it at the same time and compare notes.
Well, we're in the book club. I don't know if he'll play it again, but my brother's doing a book club with me and JJ and another one of our friends, Tim. And if that ever comes up, maybe we'll do it then. But I do really, really want to play Persona 3. It's been like, it's been a case of me going, like, do I have time to commit to Persona 3? Because it's a long game. It's not short, but it's always like whenever I'm done with the game, I'm like, ooh, should I fire up Persona 3? I'm like, okay, maybe a little bit later, but I'm definitely getting to the point now where I'm feeling like I really do want to play it.
Especially if you just got off playing another JRPG.
Exactly.
Even as a huge JRPG fan, it's tough to go from one to another.
Correct.
I need I finished World of Final Fantasy. I know I'm going to be like, I got to go play Titanfall 2 now.
You need that. You need that mix.
Right. So there it is. The infamous brother.
The infamous brother.
He's been on one or two times before, just to kind of talk a little bit. But that's Kyle.
Yep.
So there we go. Thank you for the submission, sir. Appreciate it. Brian, what do we got for news?
All right. So let's talk real quick. Same old story. Performance issues on a PC port.
Whoops.
Really?
So Dishonored 2 is another game that has come out with just and there's a really, really good YouTube channel to subscribe to if you're any kind of a tech head like me, the technical aspects of graphics and games, called Digital Foundry. I subscribe to them. I watch all their videos before I buy games. And even they were kind of perplexed as to why it was struggling so much on the PC.
Right.
Now, Mark has played it and said that they did patch it and it's gotten much better.
They released a beta patch on Thursday afternoon that fixes some of the most egregious of the problems.
Right. It didn't fix them all, but it just makes me wonder what's going on. Is it seriously, because there's been a big discussion now that maybe games need to increase in price because the cost of making them is becoming the margins are starting to shrink. That's a valid. It's a business, right? So is it the point where game companies are like, well, we can't really devote too much resources into porting this correctly. Let's get it correct for the mass market, which is consoles, obviously. And then we'll just kind of hope that we can do the best we can on the PC port. I mean, that's how I feel like the way things are going lately. It's like, hey, we need to make sure these are at least good on the consoles. This is where most people will play them. But then we'll kind of just slap something together for the PC
I would hate
crowd.
to see them raise prices because of this, but if studios start saying the PC port's coming out in a month,
right,
that would be fine with me. That would make sense.
I would never, ever get mad at a company for being like, hey, the console games are going to come out then, and then we're going to work on the PC port, and it'll come out a couple months down the road. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just this whole rash of games coming out, and people, I mean, you look at the Steam reviews, and it's like getting tanked, and you're like, you know what it is. As soon as you see that Steam review going like, mostly negative, you're like, up, and you look at its performance. It's like, all right, well, I guess we're going down that road. And it also compounds the fact that it's a Bethesda game, and they have specifically stated now their new company policy is to not give review copies out. So it's just like, well, what do you want us to do, Bethesda? If you can't make a polished game when you release, why should we pre-order? Yeah. So anyway,
well, why should you pre-order anyway?
Well, yeah, I don't agree with pre-ordering, but it's just compounds issues. Speaking of issues, so Digital Foundry again also came out with a report that a baffling one actually, that PS4 Pro. Now this is very rare, but there are some games that the PS4 Pro is actually running worse than the PS4 original. I think The Last of Us, Skyrim Special Edition, and then the biggest.
Wow, even Skyrim?
The Skyrim Special Edition is having performance issues on the Pro specifically.
Right.
And there was another one that I can't remember that was probably the biggest offender. It wasn't a game that I would ever play, but it shouldn't happen. Digital Foundry was perplexed by it. They couldn't figure out why, and especially with the Pro, like wouldn't call it a user license agreement, but the kind of the Pro rules of developing for the Pro. That the contract is basically the Pro. You can make the performance much better, than the PS4 original, but you can't ever make it worse. You cannot make a game with worse performance on the Pro. If you're going to develop for the Pro, it has to be a better experience than on the PS4 original, right?
Right.
That's the statement. It can't be worse. If it's worse, that's breaking the rules. So hopefully it's just a symptom of companies were just kind of given the 6 months warning, like, hey, we're coming out with a Pro, because they had it hidden for so long. And they went to these companies like, hey, we're coming out with a Pro. You need to get Pro support up quick. And the companies were scrambling to, do the tweaks that were needed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case. But anyway, kind of alarming. I'm sure it's nothing and it'll be fixed soon. But it's something to keep an eye on, especially if you're looking to get a Pro. Now, like I said, this is very rare. Most of the games do indeed what, like Ratchet and Clank. They said Ratchet and Clank and Uncharted 4 are upgraded across the board. But there are some games that you need to watch out for that do have some performance impacts.
Cool.
So a game designer for No Man's Sky is now working for Star Citizen.
Solid.
And
it makes sense.
Basically just did it like without telling him. It was just kind of like oops, I'm developing for them now. So that was I think a lot of people are excited for that though, because if they can implement all the things they promised in Star Citizen and the technology that No Man's Sky showed, could be a huge thing for that game. So that's
you had a procedurally generated universe to Star Citizen. And,
yep.
Woo.
Yep.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So that's kind of a weird bit of news. Oh, here's another bit of, I guess, good news. If you subscribe to that, so there was some rumors leaked that we might know the pricing of the Switch, the Nintendo Switch. The original article came out in on Eurogamer, so the prices were translated from pounds to U.S. currency, right?
Right.
With the price points. So according to this article, if the rumors are true, there are going to be two grades of the Switch. There's going to be the basic, which would be set at about $250 retail. It's a smaller memory, basically, or smaller storage. And doesn't come with a pack-in game. And that's your $250 price point. And then if you pay $50 more for the deluxe Switch, you get a pack-in game, TBD on that, and then a larger storage. JJ rightly pointed out that he hopes it's not 8 and 32 gig.
Right.
like the Wii U. So please, Nintendo, it's 2016/17. You need to make sure the storage is at least...
No, it's going to be great. It's going to be 50 gigs this time.
Yeah, especially especially a platform that's mostly going to be digital. That
Why?
Yeah. Hey, man, we're going to save a little money and go down to 4 gig this time. Anyway, and to stay on the Nintendo train news, Pokemon Sun and Moon, they're getting I don't know if a port or a version for the Switch. So that's kind of cool.
I think it's going to be kind of like Red and Blue came out and then Yellow eventually came out.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like a third version for the Switch.
Yep, which is that's neat. I don't know if there'll be any improvements to it or is this going to be a 1-1.
It's going to be cold.
It'd be kind of neat.
It'd be cool. I'm still on the fence about the Switch. I'm not quite sure what to make of it.
Tank said it was like he said something. It was like Star or something like that or Flash, something like that. I'm not
I was
sure.
not that.
Pokemon Flash them.
It's the
don't do
sequel to
that.
Pokemon
Don't do that.
Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I think we're all still wondering why a version of Pokemon Snap never came out for the Wii U.
That's a great
'Cause
question.
that would be perfect with.
That would be literally the most
Gore.
like 1-1 app for that game.
Maybe it just wasn't popular enough.
True.
Pokemon Snap was really popular.
Yeah, it was
really?
insanely
Yeah.
Well,
popular.
Nintendo.
Okay, yeah, that's all I have to say.
And staying on the Nintendo bandwagon,
Again.
people are very upset that there is not enough of those little SNES or those little NES
Classics.
But this is as people who have followed Nintendo, this is classic Nintendo.
Yep.
This is literally,
I want one so bad.
they're gone. I think they sold out on Amazon in like 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
Something
There
like
was
that,
something
yeah.
ridiculous about.
I was
how
there.
quick-
I tried.
Yep. So Nintendo has assured everyone that more will be coming before the holiday season. They're like, hey,
There's 10 more.
here's 4 more for you. Have at it.
One of the YouTube channels that I watch, they were talking about the NES Classic, and they were like, we got one because our local game store held it for us because they know we do this YouTube channel, and blah blah blah. So apparently this game store had ordered 90 of them from Nintendo.
Yep.
They sent 2.
It's a lot less.
It's a lot less than 90.
It's not quite 90.
Like,
Apparently we got to hold this one, and I kind of want one. So nobody got any. I'm assuming.
at this point, I don't know if it's a marketing strategy or just straight up Nintendo.
Some people are thinking they're doing it to generate buzz.
right, and that would make sense. But they do that with all like their games go out of.
But the buzz was already there.
Right.
Like, people wanted it.
Oh yeah, it's a cute little thing too. It's tiny.
You want to like generate buzz by sending out only a few units. You should have done that with the Wii U.
exactly.
Wouldn't have worked, but
Nope.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, it's so typical Nintendo. It's out of stock right now. I really wanted one. I wanted to get one for the girls to play some of the old classics that I grew up with. But yeah, I'm gonna have to wait. Hopefully, I can get it for Christmas.
Apparently the cords are really short too.
They are.
You can get extension. I did read that you have to literally sit like a couple inches away from your TV.
Oh.
But you can get extension cords sold separately,
Third party.
third party.
Yeah. Or you can use the Wii ones.
The Wii ones, yep.
So
Yep, that's interesting.
you can use the Wii ones if you want to.
if you want they. But I think that's about your news. You guys have anything else that you saw that you want to speak on? That's really all I was.
My big thing was the NES Classic.
Yep, NES Classic being typical Nintendo is a big deal.
Yep.
So I will hopefully get one before Christmas. If not, I'll get it for late Christmas for the girls.
All right.
Yep.
Got another shout out to our buddy Urkable Gamer.
Heck yeah.
He is a local streamer and video producer guy here in Kansas City. Does a lot of good stuff. He's been on the show a couple of times. He was actually on our last one talking about soundtracks and music and video games. So go head over to his YouTube channel, Urkable Gamer, and check him out. Good stuff. Really, really nice guy, and it plays a lot of diversity in the games that he plays on there too.
Yep.
So it's not like all shooters or all puzzle games.
He's a connoisseur of just gaming in general.
Right, yeah, he does a little bit of everything, and he has really good commentary with it as well. And he's done 1 or 2 co-op games where he's got other people on there that talk with him too. So give him a look. See, Urkable Gamer, ERKABLEGAMER. So check him out.
Boom.
All right, here we go. We got another side quest.
All right.
This one is quite a bit longer than the others. I'm going to warn you. But we had to do it because this is one that I really wanted to. Again, name of the episode is a little self-indulgence. This is something that I wanted to do since like episode 1. So too bad you got to sit through it. Unless you fast forward, then I can't control that. But it's pretty awesome. This is going to be Matt and myself. We're going to be ranking the Final Fantasy games from least favorite to favorite. Here we go. All right, everybody, what's up? It's JJ, and I am here with a voice you may not have heard in a while. Matt, what's going on, man?
Hey, Guy. I'm hanging in there. I'm looking forward to that Final Fantasy 15. How about you?
Oh, no joke. I am so excited for it. I've been playing World of Final Fantasy lately. And it's
Man,
been
I got to get that.
spectacular.
I got to get it.
Nostalgia just out the wazoo. It's awesome. As you kind of can tell from the show, we're kind of trying to bring on as many people that we've had on as interim hosts before, and people that have contributed over the time and everything. So Matt hasn't been here in a while, and honestly, I've wanted to do this since like episode 1, and Matt is one of the other people that I know who is about as big a Final Fantasy fan as I am, who has also played every game in the series. So we're going to count down the Final Fantasy titles from how we feel they are from worst to best. And I don't even like saying worst because I really, really do like all of them. We talked a little bit before because you saw my last one on the list and you're like, oh yeah, typical. And I was like, I know, but I don't hate it,
It's a love-hate relationship. That's all it is.
Right, exactly. I love to hear Mark hate on it. So... All right, so we're going to do this a little bit different than the way we do our top 5s. I'll go first, and I'll just kind of go down my list all the way from 14 down to 1. And we're just doing main titles, so you won't hear like Dirge of Cerberus or Crisis Core or any of those games. It's just going to be the main titles in the series. And then afterwards, we'll compare our lists and kind of talk about it a little bit. So,
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. So for me, at number 14, I have and I apologize to all you fans of the game out there. Final Fantasy 13.
You make me sad.
I know. And I told you that even though it is the last one on my list, like, and this is one of those things that it fluctuates so much, because it's like asking me which one of my kids I love the best. I have no kids that I know of, though, so I really can't make the comparison. But, like, I really do. All these games have a special place in my heart. And even though it is last on my list, I have had the itch to go back and play it again, because it came out so many years ago, and it still is such a heated topic. And I want to be like, I played it through once, and I remember enjoying it when I did it. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, God, dang it really did have all these issues, and man. But I want to go back and try it again, because there's still some people who say such great things about it. So
it does have a lot of issues, and I love it.
Right. Then at 13, I've got Final Fantasy 3, the actual Final Fantasy 3. That one and 2, which is my number 12. Both of them I actually just played and beat this past year. 3 is just, it's rough to get through because it's so grindy. And then 2 is, Brian loves the game.
Well, that right there, it should be at the bottom of your list, Jay.
Yeah, no, he hates this game with a passion. He told me the other day, he was like, if you put 2 above 13, I swear to God. I was like, I'm sorry, man, that list is already made. But I'm not a big fan of the leveling system in it. But I honestly do like the story, and it's a lot darker than a lot of the other ones, because like half the people freaking die. Then at 11, I've got 1, the original. I still like talking about that game. Whenever I meet somebody new who's played it, I love being like, so who's your party? What's your party of choice?
Dude, that game's hard.
Oh, it's very hard. Absolutely. Yeah. And I love just finding out different combos and talking to people about how they played it, because it's, it's an NES game with awesome customization. Like, you don't have that too much with those games. So
yeah.
At 10, I've got FF11. Great game. Just, it's dated, and it was so hard when it came out. Now it's much more friendly, and I'm kind of, whenever I feel the itch, I go back to it, and I still play it every now and then, because it's possible to solo stuff now finally. At 9, I've got 12, which is probably also not a popular decision, because I know a lot of people don't like 12. I personally had a good time with it. It is what it is.
It depends. We'll get to it when we get to my list. I have things to say.
All right. At 8, I've got 10. This is kind of where it really starts to get rough for me, because from this game up is like, I could tell you specific memories about each one of these games, and they all just mean the world to me. But FF10 is number 8, and it's probably just because of the linearity, and it's the first game where I was like, hey, why I don't feel as free as I did in the other games. Even if it was an illusion of freedom, which I totally acknowledge.
I hear that.
At 7, I've got FF8, kind of a weird story, and I know the leveling is not exactly to people's liking, and it's really easy to break the game, but I enjoyed it when I played it.
It's got pluses in it.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, all these games do.
Oh, yeah.
At 6 is 14, the new MMO. That was my phone, and I apologize. I'm putting you on the floor right now. At 6, I've got 14, which not the original 14 that came out. That was a dumpster fire. But the new 14 is just so polished, and the storytelling is so amazing. And I love World of Warcraft so much, and this is World of Warcraft with a Final Fantasy skin. And if I knew other people who played it, I would probably play it over WoW. I just have such really, really long time friends that I've played WoW with that, it's tough for me not to keep going back to that. But I still do have an active subscription.
Fair enough.
At 5, I've got 5. Great game. I love the job system. I don't know that there's any other game in the series or otherwise, other than Tactics, that does the job system that well. Tactics is in another league when it comes to the job system. It's spectacular.
Right.
Number 4 is FF7. Don't really need to explain anything about that. It's FF7.
It better be in your top 5.
Number 3 is FF4. First RPG I ever played, and made me fall in love with the series. Absolutely fantastic.
JJ, his name is Cecil.
I know, it's not Cecil. I know. It's also Titus, not Titus.
I know!
Yeah. 2, I've got FF9, which played it again recently, and it moved up my list because, honestly, as soon as I finished it, I was ready to play it again, and I don't normally do that with games, especially not RPGs.
Yeah.
I freaking love that game. and number one big surprise, FF6.
It deserves it.
Heck yeah,
Absolutely. It really does. All right.
All right, take it from the top.
Yeah, let me go ahead and run through my list. You're going to see some noticeable differences. First of all, my number 14 on my list is FF12.
Are you kidding me? No, I'm kidding.
I wish I was kidding, but no, I'm not. Balthier made that game great for me for a little while. I can't stand some of those characters in that game, though. And honestly, I had to restart that game like 3 times.
Did you finally beat it?
I did finally beat it, and the ending is pretty fun. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, the story does get good. It's just remembering what the story was in between gameplay segments for me was ridiculous.
That's a good
Like,
point.
I couldn't stand the open world because I couldn't decide to go to the next story part when I wanted to, and that just killed the game for me.
What about are you going to try the new, the international version?
Oh yeah, the Zodiac system. Where, I don't know. I don't think that it's really going to save the game for me that much. I mean, I think what is it? You have customized license boards. Is that what it is?
It's a job system basically.
Right. I'll play it again, but I mean, I have other reasons why I don't like this game because it is Ivalice, and I loved Ivalice in Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant Story, and it's kind of been changed by FF12. So I don't know. I actually get angry at this game, but again, I love it. It's a love-hate relationship.
I hear you.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. I've got Final Fantasy 2 at my number 13, and then Final Fantasy 3 at number 12. So I have mine flipped.
Flip-flop from mine.
For me, I'm like a mechanics guy, so I thought that the leveling up mechanics in Final Fantasy 2 were just terrible.
There's not too many games where you have to beat the crap out of yourself.
Yeah.
To level. Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of did it for me. And also, my first experience with Final Fantasy 3 was actually a fan translation of the original NES version.
Oh, okay.
Which kind of changed the way that the game works for me.
Yeah.
I also like the fact they called the final boss in that game Miasma instead of Cloud of Darkness.
Cloud of Darkness?
Yeah.
So. It's not a bad game. It's just very, very, very generic.
Yeah.
There's just nothing about it that stands out.
I feel like the Final Fantasy 3 was like, that was the whiteboard where they just threw paint at it and saw what stuck. And then Final Fantasy 4 came out and they just chose elements from 3.
I
They're
agree.
like, this is the staple Final Fantasy.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
So I appreciate 3 still a little bit more than 2. All right. At number 11, I put Final Fantasy 11. The reason why it's actually down on my list is because the mechanics of that game are ridiculous. And that's honestly kind of a community problem, but it's also the mechanics' fault. Like, people from Japan just figure out how to play games. And apparently, if you're not a black mage, you're not allowed to hit the enemy. Because if you hit the enemy, you give the enemy TP. Why would you give the enemy TP? So you use ninja tanks because you don't have to take damage, which saves the white mage from having to spend mana. Like, that's the way that the community grasps the game, and it is technically the best way to play. And I'm just like,
not anymore. Not now. You can solo everything.
You can,
so it's so much better. Yeah.
My experience with that game was very unfortunate because I did not have the effort, the will in me to become a summoner.
You had to have,
and that was the only class I was interested in playing that was actually worthwhile at the time.
It was rough when it first came out. You almost had to have a static group that you were playing with.
Yeah.
It was, and if you didn't have that, you're on your own. And sitting there in a city, just shouting for 12 hours or whatever, being like, "Oh, finally got a party!" Yes. Then you get one, and they're like, "Hey guys, I forgot, I have to go poop."
But it's not the worst in the series because honestly, music changes my mind on a lot of stuff, and Ron Farr's theme is possibly my favorite song in all of Final Fantasy. I think it might be. It's really, really good music. Like, I would just love being in that program just to chat. I used it as like an instant messaging program for a long time.
There you go.
All right, moving on to number 10, Final Fantasy VIII.
This is another love-hate for you.
I have played through Final Fantasy VIII possibly as many times as Final Fantasy VII.
Whew. Really?
I
played through 7 a lot.
I try to find a way to enjoy it. Like, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to put this limitation on me now. Okay, I'm not allowed this time to create magic. I'm only allowed to draw one time from each enemy. Maybe that'll make it good.
Yeah.
No. So, like, I just get to the Laguna bits and enjoy the story and enjoy Zell's legitimate growth. And
Yeah.
He's one of the best characters in all of Final Fantasy for me.
I don't think he gets enough credit.
He really experiences true growth. So yeah, I love it. Anyhow, I'll probably play Final Fantasy VIII again before Christmas. All right, moving on. Number 9, I put the original Final Fantasy for mostly the same reasons as what you said. It's just a solid game. It's actually really hard, and I just love that. And I love the fact that there's elements in it that have continued throughout the Final Fantasy franchise, like the Dark Elf is a thing again in Final Fantasy IV. Like they took that element and put it in there. The crystals started there. Like the whole spiel of what Final Fantasy is started there, and it's just always been there. Moving on to Final Fantasy V at my number 8 slot. The job system is just rock solid, and the more that I play Final Fantasy V, the more I appreciate it. Like, those characters are actually really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Galuf is, like, super funny. Exdeath is actually, like, a hilarious villain. Like, I actually enjoy him being a villain. Like, he's got a horrible name, but, like, it's part of the joke. So, yeah, I don't mind playing through that game. And then there's Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is like a pathetic samurai warrior that you fight like multiple times in that game. Yeah. He's just a complete failure. It's pretty good. I enjoy it. All right. But my number 7 spot, here's where things get dicey.
Oh, boy.
Final Fantasy 13.
And you have a little caveat there that you treat the 3 games as a single entity.
I do, because the overall story, like they branch back to one another, and like things that didn't make any sense in the first game finally start to actually kind of make sense in the third game. But still, because it's Square, they have to leave it like open ended, and you're like, I'm not sure if this is what's actually going on, but it might be.
I thought they, granted, I missed in the third one. I missed having a full party, but I thought they improved from one to the next. There's a lot of people who aren't a big fan of the second one, and there's a lot of people who are like, it doesn't even belong in there, shouldn't have ever been made. I'm like, I don't know. There's some pretty, like, the villain is phenomenal.
The villain is really, really cool. I recommend playing through the 13 series once. I mean, just play through it and recognize the fact that, like, yes, the gameplay outside of the actual combats is there's really nothing there. Like, you have to understand that, like, they screwed up. But what is there for me was strategically fascinating and fun, and I actually enjoyed it. I know that a lot of people prefer to like micromanage their characters, but I personally love the strategy behind Final Fantasy 13, so that's why it's up there. All right, number 6. Let's move in.
This is a travesty.
Yeah, right, let's move into all the good ones. I wish that I had like a top 5 that extended to 6 games.
Oh, like a top 6?
Yeah, like a top 6. Like Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy IV deserves to be in the top 5, but it gets beaten out and is at my number 6 spot, and I'm sorry.
Oh, it's such a great game.
I apologize.
Forgive you just this once. I did put 13 at 14.
Every time that I see somebody make the what is it? The reference to Tella screaming at Edward, "You spoony bard!"
Yeah.
I'm just like, God, that game is so good.
It is. Oh yeah,
it is really, really good. And I don't know. I actually have a question for you on that. Like, did you enjoy the DS remake of that?
I haven't beaten it. I mean, I like the way it looked. The difficulty is unreal. Like it is, and from what I read, it's actually the difficulty of how it was when it initially came out in Japan.
Right.
So then I was like, oh man, we really suck at games over here.
Yeah, we do.
But one thing that really bugged me was, so I played through it and I'm relatively far. I think I'm going to the sealed cave where you have to fight the wall and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like one of the toughest parts of the game.
Right.
And in this one, it's even so much harder. Well, you know how they have those, I don't know, I forget if they're called relics or some sort of artifacts or something that you equip, and it's not in the original game on the Super Nintendo. There are these items that you get, and you put them on a character, and they give them additional abilities or something like that. Well, apparently what you're supposed to be doing, what I would do is I would just save them and be like, well, if I put that on somebody, I'm just going to lose it, so I shouldn't equip it until the end of the game when I've got my final party, and then I can decide which ones to use. What you're supposed to do, apparently, is equip them like early on, and then they grow and turn into other things. And I had no idea because
Yeah.
Final Fantasy IV, I know the game inside and out, just playing through it and where to go and stuff. But this was a new mechanic that I didn't know about, so I figured, I'll just wing it. It's fine. I know the game anyways.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like Palom and Porum, like you can put the twin ability on somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
You can do that. Like
Correct.
I guess that's the way that they countered the fact that like you don't get to have every party member throughout the entire game. Like, but you still get access to the mechanics.
And
so.
if you put them on early, they transfer from character to character.
That's so good.
Then they upgrade and stuff. And so I was gimping myself like hardcore, and now I'm just like I either have to start over or I've got to just grind like crazy. And I may just start over. It's a great game, anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that I'm going to go ahead and play it. I own it. I only played it for like a couple of hours, though, and then I got distracted, I'm pretty sure, by a new Final Fantasy 13 title.
Did you try the After Years?
No, I have not played After Years. I am so bad with Nintendo products. Like, the Nintendo Wii, just, like, dust is like an inch thick.
You have a PSP?
I do.
It's on there.
It's
you
on
can
there.
buy the whole collection for like $10. It's got that game. It's got the original, the interlude, which it takes place between the two, short little thing, and then it's got the After Years.
Well, there you have it. I'm a Final Fantasy scrub, apparently.
And it's so I like some people didn't like it. I like it because it's reminiscent of 6 with just tons of characters to choose from.
Yeah.
And you play through their storylines separately.
Ooh.
And you pick which ones you want to do first and stuff, and you get the other characters through those storylines. You can miss some of them if you want. Not if you want, but if you like don't do something right. But it's I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I'm liking that. I'm gonna have to pick that up. Gosh dang it!
It's super. Like I said, it's super cheap.
I don't have time for this. Okay, I'm gonna do it anyway. All right. Moving on to my top 5 now. All right. So number 5, I've got Final Fantasy X. Now for me, Final Fantasy X, I get it. I get it if people disagree. This game for me actually kind of caught me off guard because I guess I wasn't paying attention the first time I was playing through that story. And when the big reveal about what actually is going on with Yuna and the Summoners comes out, and you figure out what's going on, like, oh, I was the one guy in the room who didn't realize that this is a tragedy.
Yeah.
Yep. That actually hit me really hard. And then, like a couple hours later, then you get the romance scene between Yuna and Titus. And I've never seen that in an actual role-playing game before done like that well. Mm-hmm. So that actually took a special place in my heart. I was like, oh, wow. Like, I actually do see some legitimate character growth in here.
Yeah.
That's like rivals like television and movies and stuff. And that's what I was looking for at the time. So I personally loved it. Plus, at the end of the game, mastering that battle system is pretty fun for me. Just because like it's not an active time battle, so it's all about strategy,
right?
And it has nothing to do with you having any kind of quick reflexes, and you don't have to panic. So I can just kind of lay back on my couch and think about what do I want to do next.
I would say they're arguably the most iconic couple in the series. I mean, if you're a fan of the series and the other games, obviously like Locke and Celeste or what's her face, Renoa and Squall, even Cloud and. Pick one. So, I mean, it's,
Rose and
Cecil.
Cecil.
Right, exactly. But you just know Yuna and Titus.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of spawned, the whole relationship being sort of broken spawned a sequel. So,
true.
Like, that's what it's about. So,
right.
Yeah, so, so Final Fantasy X, I'm not apologetic about putting it number 5.
There you go.
Number 4. I actually put Final Fantasy 14. Now, I haven't played it as much as JJ has, but for me, the mechanics are solid, and I'm a mechanics guy. Like, it is seeing Final Fantasy 14 go from the dumpster fire to apparently like the holy grail of MMOs in such a short period of time. For me, like that lifted my spirits because I was so depressed.
You really feel like you're making a difference in the world too, as your character with the storytelling.
That's awesome. That's so good.
A lot of actually, I can't think of any other MMOs that really do it like that.
Yeah, so I'm really, really stoked about eventually trying 14 again. Like when I'm done with WoW again, which will definitely happen. Like it's inevitable. Eventually, I will be done.
Play
with WoW
next
again.
summer. Expansion's coming out. I'll be back into it. I'm sure Brian and his brother will too.
Yeah, so I'm gonna play it and play it for real. And doesn't Final Fantasy 14 like it has like a it also has parts of a job system. Like it's not.
Oh, it's all job system.
Yeah, it's all job
You
system.
can do
so-
every single class on one character.
Yeah.
You can level crafting classes all the way to max level if you want.
Yeah, so like they
And those have storylines too.
Yeah, so like they took Final Fantasy 11 and then gave it good mechanics, and like that's what it is. And like
Yep.
so, I loved playing Final Fantasy 11, even though it made me very angry most of the time.
You and everybody else.
So if Final Fantasy 14, I can love it and not be angry, it deserves a top spot. So there you go. All right, getting into our number 3. You're going to see a little bit of rhythm here with JJ's list, although things are out of order. Number 3, Final Fantasy 9. I'm sorry, man. It doesn't beat it. It doesn't beat FF7 for me. It doesn't do
When was the last
it.
time you played it?
FF9?
Yeah.
I think that I played it last year.
Oh, okay.
All right, so FF9, I've always had the same problem. Amarant is stupid and pointless.
See, I thought so too. And then this recent playthrough, I don't know what it is, man. Maybe it's because we did it with the book club and we like went in depth and talked about it and stuff. But I wanted him in my final party at the end. He was great.
Wow, really?
And I don't get it because I used to think he was just a dud.
Yeah,
and
like,
stupid.
The whole honor amongst thieves thing, and like the reason that he chose Zidane as his rival, you've seen the flashback scene of like when that happened, right? Like when he got screwed over by Zidane. Zidane didn't even know like what he was doing,
Right? And that pisses him off even more.
He screwed up Amarant's life completely, completely on accident.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So yeah, it is funny, but like I'm so annoyed by him. I think it's because of the point in the story that he comes into play. It's like you're really
super late.
And you're finding out about like the summoners and the summoner horns and like the devastation that happened to the planet.
It almost feels like they had him in mind and they're like, we want to put this guy in, and then they got to that point in the game, like, crap, we still haven't introduced this character.
Right.
Well, let's work him in. Let's just shoehorn him in there.
Yeah. And honestly, like after having Quina in the game, like I just can't handle that much comedy relief. So, all right. So, but it is still number 3 because it's that darn good. It is the complete package. It doesn't have any real flaws. It's a great game.
There you go.
All right, Final Fantasy 2. Or I'm sorry, my number 2 is not Final Fantasy 2. It is Final Fantasy 7. I certainly hope that it's not 2.
Nope.
Final Fantasy 7 definitely had to be my number 1 or number 2 spot. It has to be. This game has so much to it that I'm still like figuring out. Like when you get to the Northern Cave and you actually start going down like the spiral there's like a pillar that you like go down a spiral into like a chasm, and you see the ruins of the Cetra cities that are in the Northern Cave.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, holy crap, what happened here? And you're like, wait a minute, there was a big ass war that happened when Genova hit. Wow. And like they don't ever actually talk about it, but they like imply a bunch of stuff, and you're just like, this world is so big, there's so much history here, I love this game. Like I love playing through it every time, and
we have spent so much time, like growing up, we have spent so much time talking about this. I think this was the one that really got you into the series. Like you've played the older ones, and you obviously, because I know you love 6 and 4 and stuff like that. But this is the first one that I can genuinely remember us basically going gaga over.
Yeah, I was blown away by what I was seeing, and it's mostly because of the pacing and the it doesn't try to give you the whole meal at once. It gives you an appetizer. It starts you in Midgar, and then it gives you a full course meal, and then it gives you desserts, and then lets you rest a little bit, and then go and play like at Fort Condor and stuff, and then you get back into it, and then you get to play again by going to Gold Saucer, and then it gets serious again. Like I feel like the pacing to this story, you could make a college course out of game design with the pacing of this game. It's
fantastic.
So good.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why it is my number 2, and I play it probably 2 or 3 times a year.
Oh, yeah, I don't go that far.
I mean,
Maybe once.
it's just like, it's almost like a comfort food for me at this point. It's like, it's a game that I will never not enjoy playing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Materia system is still top notch.
Yeah.
It's still one of the best.
All right. And then if you guys have been paying attention out there, you already know that the only game left
is the best game.
Is the best game, Obviously, Final Fantasy VI. It's not obvious. I actually did the numbers. I actually broke things down and weighted different things like mechanics, music, story, characters, and stuff. And I was surprised that Final Fantasy VI beat Final Fantasy VII on my list.
So good.
But it is that good apparently. And this is why. Because no other game that has the graphical capabilities of a game like Final Fantasy VI that's on the SNES is able to make me cry. This game made me cry. When you're getting the Falcon and you go down that cave and you're going down those stairs and seeing Setzer's story with Daryl.
Yeah, that's so good.
And then you get to the Falcon.
Gosh.
And the music starts up.
I just got goosebumps thinking about it. Seriously.
And then that song starts up, Searching for Friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you guys are just we're going to do it. And you're just oh my god, this is amazing.
Yep.
I actually am scared about someday Square remaking Final Fantasy VI and not getting that scene right.
That also the suicide scene, or the attempted suicide scene.
Oh, yeah, with Celis.
That's not something that you'll find in too many Super Nintendo games.
Yeah. I actually, I was actually kind of blown away because the first time that I played the game, I actually saved Sid. So I didn't get to see that scene.
Oh, really?
The second time I played the game, I think I got lucky the first time through because I didn't understand the mechanics of feeding him fish.
Yeah, and then I pick up any fish and you go back there.
And then I just got unlucky on the second time, and then I saw the suicide scene and I was like, "What, is the game over?"
That's not what happened. Yeah, it's rough, but it's so good.
Yeah,
and obviously the opera house scene and just the music in general.
Yeah.
Is one of the biggest reasons I love it so much.
Yeah, so I figure that any game that can make me cry with 16-bit graphics deserves a number one spot.
There you go.
That's what a role-playing game does. It gets into you, and it makes you care.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
And funny enough, that was the only one that we crossed on exactly.
Yep.
We had some others that were kind of close, but 6 it's just too good. So if you haven't played 6, freaking play it. Baby.
If I'm in the middle of playing Final Fantasy 9, you can make the argument that it deserves number 2. I understand.
I think you should at some point play it again for sure, and then play it all the way through, and get to Amarant and take a second look at him, because I felt the same way that you're mentioning right now, and I was really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me that people actually have enjoyed him the second time through. I'm gonna have to do that.
Okay, so just to recap, my list is 13, 3, 2, 1, 11, 12, 10, 8, 14, 5, 7, 4, 9, and 6. And Matt's is 12, 2, 3, 11, 8, 1, 5, 13, 4, 10, 14, 9, 7, and 6.
Now, I got one last thing for you.
Okay.
Where do you expect Final Fantasy 15 to end up in the list?
What, expect?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've played every demo they've had, even the Titan one at E3, which was really cool.
I'm basically going in blind. I saw you playing one demo, and that was it.
That's right. You saw me playing Episode Duskai. You're gonna get blown away by the music. It's unreal. Gosh, I don't know. I depending on if I'm just going off what I've played so far, I would probably put it between 9 and 10, between 12 and 11.
Woo, that's pretty low on the list.
But I know virtually nothing about the story.
Fair enough.
Other than Brotherhood and Kingsglaive.
All right.
So
I'm expecting it to beat out 7 on my list, which is FF13. I expect it to not be as good as Final Fantasy IV for me,
right?
But better than the 13 series.
Okay.
That's where I'm predicting it's going to be. So I will come back and talk to you about that in a couple of years.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you and I will probably be comparing notes when that game comes out.
Yeah.
So
I am kind of excited though. Do they still have a cooking system where you're in camp and you have to figure out what you're going to eat and it gives you buffs and stuff?
Yeah. Yep.
God, that's so good. That's so awesome.
There's fishing and
I'm going to be so giddy just over that.
And I'm wondering if there's going to be product placement like there was, Coleman tents and stuff. That's how it was in the demo.
Yeah. I love it. Get that Sony Xperia phone in there.
So I think we're going to call it there. But thanks for coming and hanging out one last time before we call it.
All right, Jay.
And, got any last words?
Keep on gaming, guys. And girls.
You and Brandon both stole my line, man.
But, dude, it's not your line.
It is my line. I've said it since episode 1. What? If I say yes, can you prove me wrong?
No.
Yes, then I totally did.
Ah, crap.
All right. Thanks again. Back to you in the studio, JJ.
See you later.
And we're back. Thank you very much, JJ and Matt.
You just thanked yourself.
I did. It's not the first time.
Lean on me.
A little self-indulgence. All right?
Mark is singing "Lean on Me."
That was probably the toughest part of recording. That was when Matt asked me, where do you think you're going to be ranking the 15th
Hell of a question.
into it? I was like, oh, I hadn't even really thought about it.
You're hoping for one,
I
obviously.
think it's going to be kind of somewhere in the middle, though.
Let me ask you a better question.
Nostalgia is really huge for me.
Where should it land in order for you to consider it a success?
That's a good question.
Well, define success.
To make you feel like Square has a handle on where they're taking the Final Fantasy series.
Oh, okay. It might be a little rough, but probably like top 5 or 6. Because not that, if it was lower than that, I could probably still accept it. But the fact that 13 was such a departure from where it was, I was not a fan of the path that it was going on.
Yeah.
And making something this good would let me know that they've turned it around that much, and give me hope for the future. So if that makes sense.
Good question.
Yeah. So, I'm freaking stoked to play it though.
Yeah.
It's so close.
And Matt knows what's up because he knows 6 is the best game in the series.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Matt, thank you very much for taking the time out. And again, like I said, that's something I wanted to do for a really long time. I love the series, and if I ever, do anything with the YouTube channel later on, I guarantee I'll make a video on those games as well, just because I'm so in love with that series, hands down, from beginning to end. What we've got so far as the end. You guys have anything to say about it all?
No,
Final Fantasy.
I'll just point out that I think my number 1 would probably be 8.
Really?
But, yeah. But, largely due to nostalgia. That was the first one that I ever beat
cool.
in entirety.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It's like I said, that's boosted up almost entirely by nostalgia, because that was my OG Final Fantasy experience.
Yeah.
Other than 4, that's the first one. 8's the first one I actually beat myself.
Right.
6 is my number 1.
Yeah.
7 might now be my number 2, though.
Yeah. So.
And then 9.
Yeah.
Obviously, that will
So
change.
you've got the same top 3 as Matt.
Whoops. I need to change my list.
You dork.
You're fun.
All right. So yeah, again, thank you, Matt, for coming to hang out with us one last time. Appreciate it. And speaking of Final Fantasy fans, we're on to our next shutout. We are on to our next shutout.
Shut up.
Sheds are
I am,
outside.
like,
I mean, you're
just
not wrong.
I can't talk. Our next shout out, Terra and Lightning. They are the hosts of Terra and Lightning's RPG Roundup, and they actually joined us for a couple episodes a couple of years ago. Like, we're talking like episode like 38 and 39, I think. Mm-hmm. A while ago. And had a really, really good time. They came on and hung out with us for a little bit, talked about, obviously, gaming and stuff. And their show is still on iTunes and all over the place, and you can go find them. Look for Terra and Lightning's RPG Roundup, because they go in depth in RPGs from just start to finish. And they're another one, along with the RPG cast, where I listened to them, and because of how they talked about these games, I wound up picking up games that I never even heard of, let alone didn't think about trying before, and wanted to give them a shot. So huge shout out to them and everything they're doing. And the cool thing is, with their episodes, you can go back and listen to them again and again, because, especially if you replay games, you want to talk about it. That's what you do. And that's essentially what it is. They break it down. It's like when we did our book club. If you've heard the book club episodes, what they do is what I would have liked to have done with the book club. Because all we pretty much did was just talk about the story from beginning to end without really getting into anything else. But they break down everything. Mm-hmm. And I really, really enjoy listening to their show. So go check them out. Terra and Lightning's RPG Roundup. So there it is. All right. Got another email. And if you guys remember, we heard from this guy a while ago and pretty much devoted like half an episode to it. This is from our friend Martin, overseas in the UK.
Hey, Martin.
He has been on, when I was streaming on Twitch a while ago, he hopped on every now and then, and we talked about just games and crazy nostalgic chat and old school stuff. I want to preface his email by saying, you know what? I'm gonna let Mark figure out what happened here. He sent this Friday morning. He sent this Friday morning.
What are days?
And the first thing that it says is, "Oh man, did not realize that the final episode is being recorded today. Hope I'm not too late. I was honestly planning on writing something profound and heartfelt, but I guess a hastily written mess of an email will have to do. Better than nothing, right?"
Absolutely.
He sent that on Friday. We're not actually recording until today, which is Saturday. Why would he have thought that Friday was the day we were recording?
Yeah,
Weird.
Brian. Why would he have thought that?
Why? Well, if you guys know, we are on a planet that is not flat.
Yes. I think Brian is 100% right.
That explains
He lives in a
everything.
different country, many different time zones away from us.
Yeah.
Therefore, what day it is
Basically what happened
is up in the
Mark posted on
Up
Twitter.
in the air?
it could be any time.
Here's Mark's
It's
logic.
madness.
Here's Mark's
Dogs and cats living together.
Here's Mark's logic. He lives in the UK, so we don't even know what day it is. There's no math.
It's impossible to know,
It could
man.
be yesterday. We don't
It
know.
probably is.
No, they're 7 hours ahead.
There you have it.
Wow. Wow.
You know what? You've given me so much knowledge, we don't even need to talk about it anymore. We don't even need to go into what JJ is going to say.
They live in a different country. We don't even know what time they're at.
Thursday, Mark had posted on Twitter, "Tomorrow's going to be the day we're recording, so it's our last day to get stuff in." Talking about Friday, which was not true.
I was
So
on UK time.
I sent him a message saying, "Hey, buddy, why we're not recording on Friday because we work." And he was like, "Oh, my brain." And then he just left it, and just changed it eventually. But it was just really funny. So
Dishonored
that was
too,
funny
man.
That the beginning of this email showed that. So, all right, we'll get right into it. And I'm also going to say that my voice is probably not as pleasant sounding as his voice is, because he's probably got that sweet English accent where it makes everything sound
The one
eloquent
that
and wonderful.
Brian's always doing?
Not that one.
What about your jokers?
That's definitely what it
I
sounds
would imagine he doesn't sound like that. I don't think anybody sounds like that.
Well, one
person does when he tries to. Yes, Brian.
Hold on, let me try it for the last episode. Let me get it right.
Nope.
Hold on.
he immediately starts laughing.
Hold on. What a bunch of jokers!
Oh my god!
This deep south country bumpkin.
What the hell? What? Wait. Hello. What a bunch of jokers!
I don't know what to make of what's happening right
You
now.
heard it here first, folks.
Martin, I am so sorry, buddy.
I was going to riff on you, but I think
Oh
you
my
just...
gosh.
You,
All right.
You took that to the max it could go.
Let's get into the email. He says, "Really, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you guys for the show you've been putting on for the last few years. As a listener who has been there since almost the beginning, episode 5, I think, was my first. Wow. It's been a pleasure to have borne witness to the journey that you've all taken from amateurish, well-meaning, excitable hobbyists to, well, whatever you are now." Great way to put it.
After what we just heard. I mean,
No joke. He says, "It's genuinely been a privilege to hear your take on new games, new tech, old games, old tech, and the games industry in general, as well as your hopes for its future. I mentioned this on my last mail too, but far too many other podcasts seem to be bogged down with relentless negativity, doom and gloom, and cynicism concerning the state of the industry, and TFN has always been a refreshing tonic to that." You must have skipped our Nintendo episode. And one that has actually helped me to retain my enthusiasm for games. As some kind of small tribute, I was honestly totally planning on doing a top 5 Frozen North episode side quest, but I'd have to somehow find the time to re-listen to all 99 episodes for verification purposes, and, you know, life gets in the way. Mm-hmm. Which I believe is also a big part of why you're wrapping the show up. Also, I'm currently in Thailand with no reliable net access, no PC, and an 8-month-old child, which are obviously slight obstacles too. I'm typing this email on my phone. God, I hate touchscreen keyboards, the sacrifices I make for you guys.
Dude, the typos that I present to these guys on a daily basis is epic.
He puts in parentheses here, "The child is mine, by the way. I'm not here with just some random person's baby."
Mazel tov.
Thailand, though. Wow, that's cool. But standout moments overall, childhood anecdotes of game swapping, Opera House, Mark's Christmas gaming stories, all the SoPro stuff, helping the Suikoden revival movement, We're All Gamers, Mark bashing, gaming interventions, 108 is a perfect number, howdy y'all. All those references, just crazy. It's been a blast to listen to, and it's going to be a real miss. But I'll keep checking the YouTube channel and Twitter, and hope it's not the last we see or hear from you guys. It's been effing great. Keep on gaming. Oh, and final obligatory Brian hate mail. Still a rubbish idiot since 2013, possibly earlier. I can only make my judgment based on empirical evidence.
Oh,
That's incredible.
Had to throw it on.
I can't disagree with him. What about the Jokers?
Oh,
You're helping the
can't
case.
disagree with
Dang
him
it.
after that.
Martin, the hate mail is always appreciated. I need to be depreciated.
You need to be depreciated?
Yeah.
What is happening?
I need to be.
I feel like
I almost said defecated.
We've been
but that's
here-
not.
No, you don't need to.
No, I need to be constantly knocked down a peg or two at very, very soon intervals. Because if I don't, then I become a monster. So Martin,
what's
you are
happening
doing-
is we've been recording so long that we've exited the station of logic and
Exit stage.
No, I just think Martin's right, and you need to knock me down a peg or two. So congratulations, Martin. You were keeping me honest.
Martin, for real, man. If you got like a Facebook or something like that, shoot me a friend request, bro. I'd love to talk to you sometime, just because I know we talked on Twitch and stuff, and we've reminisced about the old days when gaming was great, and it's not like it is today. It was always a pleasure. So really, really appreciate the email, and listening since episode 5. Holy crap, man! Can't thank you enough, for real.
Yeah, seriously.
So.
On a serious note, dang.
And it's cool to know that there's somebody on the other side of the world that listens to us.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because we're just 3 idiots from Kansas City.
Yeah.
So, all right. With that, we got another side quest. Here we go. I will let Tank take it away.
I believe it was sometime around August of 2013 that Mark, at the time when he was a coworker of mine at the local community college, recommended I check out a new podcast he was doing with some friends. We'd become friends over drawn-out conversations about BioShock, Telltale games, and more, and since I was about to start a new job, this seemed like a great way to keep in touch. I started off with episode 1 of The Frozen North, and I've been happily listening along ever since. A cavalcade of chippings, rebuts, McIntyrely and otherwise, interviews, reviews, and lively debates about the merits of console exclusives have provided me with over 3 years of entertainment, enrichment, and some valuable new friends to boot. I was going to have something much longer and poetic, but as per usual, I put it off to the last minute, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. So, as my congratulations and send-off for the good ship Frozen North on her final voyage, it's my pleasure to present to you my top 5 thank yous to the Frozen North. Number 5. Thank you for your dedication to always growing and improving. The changes to the show since those early episodes are dramatic, and everybody's commitment to constantly trying new things, shaking up formats, and striving to deliver the best product every episode, it's been personally inspiring for me and rewarding for the listeners. Number 4. Thank you for giving back to the gaming community. Video games are a huge, diverse, fascinating world, and all too often those diverse pieces exist in separate little bubbles. Whether it's by engaging community spaces like SoPro and Novastar to bring attention to these local hubs, or even opening up the show to guest contributors from randos like me and more, JJ, Mark, and Brian, you guys have used this show to provide a platform to share our ideas and opinions about this great hobby. Number 3, thank you for opening up the Frozen North podcast network. This one's pretty selfish, but thanks JJ for letting Mark, Shanna, Stitch, and I mess up your studio for our incredibly regularly produced podcast, The Fool's Lantern. It's been a great creative experience for me personally, and a lot of fun to watch through some great current and classic TV and pretend to be way smarter about the meaning of the end of Battlestar than I actually feel. Number 2, thank you for bringing such regular attention to one of the best games of the last few years. Cities Skylines revitalized the city management genre, picking up the torch thrown aside by SimCity, and ran with it in a satisfying, challenging, and interesting way. And the Frozen North has been a reliable advocate of this amazing game. I think you guys mentioned it every other episode at least. Finally, number 1. Just thank you guys. JJ, Brian, and Mark, it's been a true pleasure to hang out with you guys for the last 100 episodes. I've learned about games I never got to play, thought about old favorites in new ways, got to experience JJ's amazing journey to E3, and had the chance to revisit Final Fantasy IX and talk about it in our video game book club. Just all in all, it's been an awesome ride. The Frozen North may be ending, but one thing's certain. We're all gonna keep on gaming. Thanks, guys.
And we're back. Thank you very much, Tank.
That was quite a pleasure.
I feel, what episodes was he listening to where we talked about City Skylines? He said every other one, so we must have loved that game, right?
It's a great game.
We must have.
I've been telling you guys for years how good it is.
Describe it. How's the gameplay?
Non-existent.
False.
Boom!
False.
Okay.
You even agreed with me on this.
Wait. When did
on
I do that?
a private chat that it is nice that they're sticking it to EA.
No. So, real candidly,
You guys didn't see it, but he totally agreed with me.
real candidly,
I can't
if
find
you
it
don't
now,
know
but-
the story, I had a LAN party at my house a while back, and Mark pulled out City Skylines. I was playing it, and we're all playing like action pack. Like I think JJ's playing like CS:GO, and I think at the time a lot of us were playing Heroes of the Storm, and
Matt was playing
Bloodborne.
And then I walk over and I see a little pulled out view, and Mark is working on a turnpike with a little exit ramp, and I say, "Hey, Mark, what you doing?" He's like, "Well, I'm optimizing my traffic here, making the traffic flow better." And I gave him crap because city planning games are on the less action-oriented side.
Yeah.
But truly, it looks like a fantastic game. And as the last episode, I'll let my mask fall. I just like giving Mark crap about playing City Skylines, but it's a kind of game that looks well-polished, and for somebody who...
It looks really detailed.
Very much so. And it has a lot of things I think a lot of people were looking for, for access to do.
We're never going to stop giving you crap about it, by the way.
But yeah.
Ever.
But you got to give somebody crap for coming to a LAN party and playing a city planning game.
Hey, man, I was just trying to show off.
What you doing, Mark? What boss are you on?
man.
Oh, I'm on the Turnpike Optimization boss.
That's right.
Jeez.
Yep. Classic.
Tank's become a really, really good friend of the show, friend of ours. One of the smartest guys I know. Really, really just always has such great insight in, and I'm not even talking about like when we talk to him on the show or on the Fool's Lantern. I mean, I'm talking like when we just hang out, and he's here and we're just talking about games or whatever.
Or when we go to a bar and talk about Warcraft lore for an hour and a half.
Dude, seriously, yeah. I had no idea he was such a WoW lore junkie.
Yeah.
But he loves it, and he's always very, very genuinely interesting to listen to, too. And like I said, I'll mention it again at the show, but December 10th, we're going to be at his place, and we're going to stream a bunch of stuff for Extra Life. So be on the lookout for that.
We all love the tank, and that was an excellent side quest, I might add.
Definitely.
And I love how he really got the pulse of the show.
Yep.
Definitely. All right. Ready to do our second and final top 5 list?
Yes. Top 5 reasons Mark is not a gamer.
I don't think I can narrow that to just 5.
Yeah, it's got like 46.
So we are doing our top 5 Frozen North episodes. Now, why would we do that? It's weird. Like, there's no point. But there is a point. Because if this is somebody's first time listening to this final show, or first time listening to the show and this is the final episode, we can be like, hey, if you like this one, you want to hear more, go check out these past ones because these are the ones that we liked.
Or if you came on board like recently, this year.
Exactly. Yep.
There's some shows that we did years past that you'll might want to check out.
And like I said, all these are on YouTube, on iTunes obviously too, but I uploaded them to YouTube. That's where I would like people to start going to get these and kind of generate some traffic over there.
He put them on really smart playlists too. They're kind of broken up, so you can just
Right, I've got,
go.
4 playlists? 1 through 20, 21 through 40, and so on.
Yep.
Must be 5 playlists.
5, yeah. So math is really hard. Sorry, I don't spend my time building cities and doing architecture. So what the heck noise was that?
That was my
Celebrating, man.
Okay. All right. You got me.
We're getting slap happy.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm going to have you start us off on this one.
Okay. You guys need to check out one of my favorite episodes. My number 5 is episode 31, aptly titled "P.I. Poe." And in parentheses, I put Mark MVP on this one. I mean, this was a good episode, but the opening, you guys have got to. I was in tears listening to it the other day. Just a real quick rundown: JJ, Mark, and I do a sound test before every episode, and sometimes JJ gets frustrated at Mark's inability to function ad lib. So if you come at Mark,
It wasn't even ad-libbing. I gave him the directions.
But if you come at him quick, I'm saying, like, Mark. If Mark has time to do like a written something, he's brilliant. But if you say, "Go, Mark, go," he
That explains why I haven't been brilliant in like 50 episodes.
No. I mean, seriously, Mark is very smart. His Achilles heel is ad-libbing quickly, right? So if you come at him, he's confused, or he'll just go.
True.
And
then you'll get gold.
But anyway, JJ's asking him to do some stuff. Just episode 31, P.I. Poe. Mark's opening is hilarious.
Yeah.
By far.
I heard it recently again when I was uploading these, and
Yep.
I was cracking up. In that same vein, though, also, I want to recommend episode 18 as an honorable mention, just because the intro as well. That was the one where, let's just say, that was the one where I acknowledged that Brian really likes Mass Effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a good one.
I edited a bunch of sound clips of Brian talking about Mass Effect and put it into this whole skit that I did at the beginning of the episode, and I'm so proud of it.
It's really good.
It was really good.
I wasn't on that episode. They surprised me with it, and it was very, very good.
All right, so that's Brian's number 5, episode number 31, P.I. Poe, and the name of that episode is because of Mark.
Yep. Mark,
Perfect.
Mark made that episode go, I'm telling you.
I did it.
Mark, number 5.
My number 5 is episodes 38 and 39. We are all gamers, but it appears on someone else's list later, so we'll talk about it then.
Sounds good. My number 5 is episode number 71. Brian, what's the title?
Number 71. Wait, I don't have it. Hold on.
How do you not have it?
I don't have the notes up.
Why would I be asking you for the title?
You've already said it like 4
You've already
times.
said it like 4 times.
There
There it is. It clicked.
There you go.
Episode 71. What a bunch of jokers. This is the episode that we had Isaac on for to go in depth about Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. And big reason that it's my number 5 is because I was so surprised at how well this episode went. Because I mean, you guys know this. Before that, I have been a huge proponent of not doing any spoilers or like going in depth into stories on games because I didn't want to ruin it for anybody who may not have played it. Regardless of how old the game was, I was always against that. Isaac really wanted to talk about this game. He's such a big fan. And he was like, is there any way we can maybe do like a spoiler cast afterwards? Because I'd really like to go into detail about it. And I was like, all right, well, we'll do a little bit after the credits. And we ended up doing like ended up being like 2 hours long or something like that, where we do the regular show, talk about the game, review it and all that stuff. And then at the end of the entire show, we went into a spoiler cast about it. And it worked really well. And I was so impressed and really, really had a good time with it. And I thought we did a good job covering it. So check out that episode if you want to hear that. Episode number 71. What a bunch of junkas!
What about
Good grief.
Brian. Mark. No, I'm sorry. Brian, number 4.
My number 4.
That's actually all 3 of us have the same number 4.
Yeah, we all have number 4, Ram Punched.
We all knew it was good.
Yep. Episode 37.
Yeah, episode 37, Ram Punched. Aptly titled.
So
Here's why I really liked this episode.
go ahead.
We start off with a.
I can't. I'm losing my voice
Yeah.
already. I
No.
can't do it.
You can't recreate what we did.
Fair,
do
fair.
it.
We
Gotta
start
go
off with a very haunting rendition of the Final Fantasy like ending theme, I guess you can call it.
Just the theme.
The credits theme, yeah. We very haunting rendition in which
Yep.
JJ said we were trash afterwards.
In my defense, we're trash for way more reasons than
Fair.
that.
Fair.
True.
That's just a great episode. I mean, we were just gushing about one of our favorite games of all time. I think
Yep.
both of us had it in our top 5 list before we started the series. And Brian hadn't played it yet, but
It was both of us had it at number 1.
No, I played
right.
it. That's why it's on my list.
He played it at that point.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
is
Oh.
Until then, you hadn't played
Yep.
it.
We talked about Final Fantasy VI. We spent the whole episode going over it, and the reason it's on mine is because I thought we did such a great job covering it. And like a lot of times when we do a review or we talk about something specific, we'll stop recording and we'll be done. I'll edit and everything, and then all of a sudden I'll think of something and be like, oh crap, we should have said this. Oh crap, we should have talked about this.
Oh yeah.
I did not get that when we talked about that, and I felt so good about that because it's my favorite game.
Yeah.
And I thought we did just a really good job looking it over. And the title Ram Punched, I guess we should probably explain that too, is referring to when, for those of you who have played the game, when Celeste is in prison and one of the guards is beating the crap out of her, and just go look up Celeste's prison scene, Final Fantasy VI.
You'll know what we're talking about.
And Brian coined the term Ram Punch. He's like, that's what I call when you're ram punching somebody.
Yeah,
and Mark and I were kind of like, holy crap, that's exactly what it is.
Well, because when you first see the scene, you're like, what is he doing to her? He's just literally ramming her.
Like he's like taking steps back and then he runs forward and punches her.
He's like running 10 feet and then just...
Right.
Yep.
So and
Gut
that, it
punch.
just stuck, and I was like, that's the name of the episode right there. So that's all three of our number 4 episode 37.
That was
Ram
a really,
Punched,
really fun and good episode, I thought.
for sure. Brian, number 3.
Okay, guys, my number 3 is episode 50, a massively effective episode. Obviously, this is one of my favorite episodes for a little bit different reasons than you might think. I really took a lot of joy out of seeing them live the Mass Effect trilogy like I did. And we got to talk about it, and I got to hear, like I said earlier in the episode, it kind of made me feel good that they got the kind of same feeling of losing time in those games that I did. Kind of felt like validated, like, okay, I'm not, it's true. These games really do have that kind of cachet to them that they can literally drop. You can go, oh, was this playing for 6 hours? I had no idea. So, and they're just gushing about my favorite trilogy at the time. Was just, it's memories that I'll have, seeing you guys talk about something that I loved, with the same kind of reverence was fun to do.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we actually did episodes on Mass Effect as well, like one for each game too.
Yep.
This was just kind of a recap because
this is when
it
we
had
were
meant
all
so
done.
much to the show.
Yeah,
and become such a staple of what we played.
Yep.
So that's Brian's number 3, episode 50, a massively effective episode. Mark, number 3.
My number 3 is episode 83, Break the Habit, Brian.
This was a good one.
This is one of our classic traditions on the Frozen North is whenever one of the hosts is missing, we just lay into them.
Yep.
You were on part of the episode. I think we recorded something remotely, and you were there for that.
I think I recorded the news.
We may have done the news.
We were at SoPro for part of it, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yes, that's right. We did SoPro. We did a SoPro segment where we interviewed. It was either Urkerbol or it was Tucci?
No,
it
may have been just Lee and Tony.
Lee and Tony.
Either way,
okay, yeah.
So
this is a great episode,
and just had a blast with ganging up on him and going through a list of
My
5
gaming
things
habits.
that he needs to stop doing right away.
5 gaming habits
And-
that Brian needs to break.
Yep.
I'll be honest, the way I kind of skimmed through episodes to find the ones I wanted to put on my list was I looked for audio spikes.
What a shocker!
And I was like,
people are yelling right
People
here.
were yelling here. And
Yep,
I would go
yep.
and listen to what we were yelling about, and I was
Touche.
just in a frenzy.
you were mad.
I was just yelling about.
You want to get a good idea
how
of
the
our
best-
personalities? Check out that episode.
Mark was
definitely.
mad at
I was
me.
so mad, and I was just
was
all
triggered-
over the place too. I kept going back to the handhelds.
He
thing.
was triggering himself.
Yeah, and JJ wasn't helping. He was getting me real riled. He was pouring fuel on that fire.
Talking about his journey that he never completed.
Yes, true.
Well, I also got
You don't take a
very-
road trip from your road trip.
It's true. But I think I got even more upset about the 108 thing.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Because I got really mad because I remembered Matt had also said 109 is a pretty good amount of characters.
Oh, that's right.
And I lost my head on that one.
That was great. Yeah,
So,
check
yeah.
that episode out for sure.
One of my favorites.
There you go. Mark's number 3, episode 83. Break the habit, Brian. My number 3 is episode 38 and 39. We're all gamers. But that, again, shows up on somebody else's list later on, so we will talk about it actually right now because it's Brian's number 2.
Yep, my number 2. We
And
had
it was my number 5.
Yeah, and Mark's number 5. We had Terra and Lightning on. I enjoy their podcast. JJ actually is the one who told me about them, and a couple of ladies who really enjoy RPGs and playing them. And this episode, we basically addressed kind of the issue that gaming has with inclusion with a lot of females, and how we are, strictly against thinking that it's a boys club.
Yeah.
I live with my girlfriend and her 3 girls, and it would do nothing but warm my heart if they some of them do like gaming, and I'm never going to force it on them, but just I want people to realize that gaming is completely genderless, and
the girls brought up a really good point too about how there are so many there's plenty of girl gamers out there, but there's this stigma attached to a lot of them that like you have to be hot and you have to be wearing skimpy clothes on Twitch, or you're not going to be successful, or you're not a real gamer, or something. And it's like, that's ridiculous. Like, where does this even come from?
Right.
And they were kind of talking about that. Like, it's ridiculous that people think this way.
Yep.
And it is. It's completely ridiculous.
And plus, they're great personalities to have. We joked, we laughed.
Yeah, they've got
absolutely
very good wits. That's what I really enjoyed having them on.
Definitely.
One of our more topical episodes. Honestly, we don't ever.
That's why we made it a
verge into real issues. Yeah.
But I think we all agree that gaming should be shared by all.
Exactly.
Because it's our passion, and I don't understand the mentality of like hoarding. Like I love this, but I don't want you to love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always been a big. I guess I'm not much of an activist, but if I was, making sure gaming was accepted by all would be one of my big pushes.
Making sure everyone's accepted.
Making sure everyone is accepted playing games.
As well.
Yeah. Yep.
Definitely. Cool.
Yep.
And that was on all 3 of our lists.
Yep.
That was number 3 for me, number 2 for Brian, and number 5 for Mark.
Right, because Mark is sexist.
Well, I mean, I did pick Corvo over Emily in Dishonored 2.
He did.
Oh, man. That was Brian's number 2. Mark, your number 2, sir.
My number 2 is episode 53, Get Ready for 2015.
Oh, boy.
That was... we had a string of really good episodes in the 50s range.
Yeah.
That's, I think, when we really hit our stride.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode had one of the best arguments we've ever had on the show.
Yep.
Where I think one of the first trailers to come out for Final Fantasy 15 that actually showed anything about what the plot was about.
Oh, it wasn't even an argument. It was just like...
Oh, it was an argument.
Really?
It was one of the most heated arguments we've ever had. Because Brian, I guess correctly so, had seen that
he saw a French trailer.
Yeah,
yes.
With subtitles that said Cindy.
And the mechanic character's name is Cindy, and we were convinced there's no way it said Cindy.
There were articles that had said, like, her name is Sydney, because she's supposed to be the new, quote, Sid.
She looked like a female Sid, so while my convictions were strong, there was like a shred of me that was going, maybe they're right, but I was like, I can't give in.
Because I don't remember like there being a heated argument. I remember kind of a who's on first situation where it was like me and him going back and forth with him being like Cindy and me being like Sydney, Cindy. It
was just a great
back and forth.
It was a great cluster.
Yes,
that's true.
And Mark over there going like, I agree with both.
No, I was like trying to pull. I was on the Japanese Final Fantasy 15 website.
Oh, you were
trying
trying to
pull it
fact
up,
check. Yep,
and it was just going all wrong for me.
Yep.
Apparently, Sid is her grandfather or father or something.
Right.
So, but
why wouldn't they name her Sydney? Like, even though I was right on that argument,
we were all flabbergasted.
It was
great.
weird.
It was great.
Actually, we were.
Well, because even the main sites were reporting that she was the new Sid, that she was Sydney, and then your random French trailer that you saw turned out to be right. So, weird.
It was a good one.
Crazy.
And Mark has brought that up many times too.
He has.
We also had Raul on that episode.
Oh, yeah.
Little side quest. I think he did history of fighting games or something.
That's right.
Yeah, every single one that he submitted was really good. So, cool. That would be Mark's number 2, episode 53. Get ready for 2015. My number 2 is episode 1951 and 76. These are all episodes that we had with Ryan, but that shows up later on somebody else's list, so we'll talk about it then. Brian, number 1.
All right, guys. My number 1 is episode number 1. And you guys are probably looking at me like, oh, God. Honestly, though,
I get it.
I listened to it, and we were so, like, new.
Yeah,
I just remember. So I met JJ when I worked at Lowe's, and I met him because we had a mutual love of games, right? And we talked about games, World of Warcraft specifically.
There was like 10 of us there that we got to know each other because of it.
Exactly. Because JJ's friend Phil, I worked with in the lumber department, found out I played WoW, and he was, oh man, my friend JJ plays WoW too, and Brandon, and the cashier guy, he plays. So I found out this little, so all these people, I found that there's a little network of people that played games, and so that's how I became friends with JJ and Brandon and Phil and Chris. And then JJ's like, hey, let's come out to dinner. I have an idea for a podcast, and I was like, I just want to talk about games. Like I just want to sit around. I don't care what context, and just talk games. It's a huge passion in my life, and that's how I met Mark at the dinner. Where we're best friends. So I don't know.
Our good friend Stitch there.
The episode, our good friend Stitch was there.
Aaron was there too.
This may not be the best episode, but it's my number one episode because it really kicked off a journey that is near and dear to my heart.
Right.
So, hearing how far we've come is something that I'll treasure.
Historical value.
And if you are listening to this episode and this is the first one you've heard, and you take Brian's advice and go listen to episode number 1, you will see a clear difference
exactly
in quality between then and now.
Yeah, it's quite a difference.
We're still just as dumb, but we're at
facts.
least a little more comfortable in front of a microphone.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you can't, I can't fault you. So, episode 1, Who We Are, is Brian's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, your number 1 is my number 2.
It's a good number.
Yep.
That
Totally.
weird.
Number 1 is a good number.
It's Suikoden episodes.
You got it, buddy.
It's all the episodes that we had Ryan on from the Suikoden revival movement.
Episode 19, which is
was-
titled Saving Suikoden. Episode 51, which is titled A New Side of Suikoden. And episode 76, titled
I don't even
Trinity Sight.
remember how this happened exactly. How we
I do,
connected.
wholeheartedly. You and I talked about, we should do interviews on this show. We should try and
That's
reach
right.
out to somebody or something. And you and I both liked Suikoden already. We were already fans of it. Didn't know... honestly, I thought it was kind of like... I thought it was totally a niche thing. I was like, I don't know too many people that know about this series and stuff. And then you mentioned the Suikoden revival movement. There's this thing online where they are trying to revive the series and get more info on it and stuff. And why don't we try reaching out to them? When I looked and I saw on Facebook they had 20,000 followers, and I was like, dude, this is huge for us. Are you kidding me? And you're like, well, it didn't hurt to try. And I'm like, okay, all right, sure. So I sent an email. I sent a Facebook message to them saying who I was, and we had never interviewed anybody prior to this, other than Stitch, who was already a friend of ours, who just came on to talk about Final Fantasy XIV.
Hey, how we doing?
Right. So I sent an email, and 2 months went by and hadn't heard anything. We didn't hear a single thing, and I was like, I just give up because it was too big for us. I wasn't surprised. I was like, there's just too many followers. No way. They were nothing to them. Well, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get a response from Ryan saying, hey, I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you sooner. I'm usually the guy that handles the podcasts and interviews and stuff, but I've been having computer and internet issues for a while now. I finally just got a new computer. I would love to do something for you guys, absolutely. And I was like,
yeah, that was a pretty special moment.
Mark! So, Brian unfortunately couldn't make it for that episode, and I'm talking about 19 here. I mean, I still remember that feeling of getting him on the Skype call and being like...
Was that when I hung up on him?
No, you didn't hang up on him. You hung up on, I think it was Raul. But I don't even remember if we told him, we haven't done this before, just so you know. We were totally green at it. Mark was just like, I think it'll work if I use my tablet and we hook it up to Skype. We'll see, sure. We did it. We get him on. We had questions typed out. We sent it over to him. And this is all in hindsight, I probably should have looked online how to conduct a good interview or some crap like that. We literally just went we'll try it and see what happens. Ended up going spectacular.
Little did we know he's amazing, and
he was really, really so insightful, and every one of those episodes is so good. Honestly, from a technical standpoint and from an informational standpoint, and even pure entertainment, these are probably the best episodes that we've done, in my opinion. Just because of him being on there, because he is so insightful and he's got so much info on not even just these games, but he will relate these games to real life events.
Yep.
And talk about history. And so I remember Mark and I are sitting there, and it's not a video chat or anything. It's all audio. So Mark and I are just staring at each other while he's talking. Like, we're doing our first interview ever. And we're like, holy crap, dude, this is going really well. I didn't expect. Shut up, just let him talk. Okay,
Yeah.
it was crazy. And we got done, and both of us were just so giddy and so excited. And since then, we've done more interviews with him, obviously, interviews with other people. It's become a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it was the same way when we were doing the Kickstarter things. What were they called?
Oh,
oh my gosh, I can't even think of the dang name. The spotlights.
Yeah.
Where like the first 1 or 2 times that we sent emails to communicate to people to ask information about their games, we were like, hey, talk about the game, please, maybe. And we were so nervous. And you even said this to me later on, like, I don't mind doing it because I'll just take care of it from now on because it's really easy for me to just, pump this stuff out. Not a big deal at all. Mm-hmm. When initially we were terrified of contacting these people for, no reason other than just like, you're people that we don't know. But we wanted it for the show. And Ryan delivered tenfold. I mean, it's been incredible. And one of the best parts about it is that he's become a really good friend of the show. Mark and I still talk to him on a regular basis. Gosh, we've talked about anything from gaming to the election to, even some random sports things and the weather. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those episodes are fantastic. 51, 19, and 76. Definitely go check those out.
I also wanted to say it's really easy when things get better, when you have progress, to forget how it used to be.
Yep.
To take for granted that progress.
Clearly, I remember.
When we started, well, I'm not even talking about our podcast. What I'm saying is when we started this podcast, you had to pay $80+ to play Suikoden 1.
Oh,
you had to pay $120 to play Suikoden 2. And now, because of the work they did, and thankfully Konami making a few good decisions for once, you can get those games super cheap. And
it's
been
crazy
great
how
following
far that too.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a journey.
Absolutely. There we go. Cool. My number 1, my favorite episode number 74, Gaming Inspirations. The main reason that this is my favorite episode is because this is kind of like, this episode hit home for me as far as what I wanted this show to be from day one. We were at SoPro Gaming. I think they had their Halloween party or something going on.
Yep.
And we literally brought in people 2 by 2, came in and talked to us about what in the world of gaming inspired them, or what they loved about gaming. And we sat down with people and talked for like 2 or 3 minutes at a time with these people, and everybody was so comfortable. And I was wearing my Pikachu hat in case anybody was nervous, but it didn't even really matter. But everybody was just so cool and so wonderfully informative. And I had just such a great time doing it. And I was genuinely interested in what these people had to say. And I loved getting to talk to the public and to other people about that I again, something I probably would never have done if we didn't have this show.
Yep.
So that's why it's my favorite episode.
And it forced Mark to come out and actually go to a lock-in.
True. Absolutely. I don't think he stayed the entire night. I think he left at like midnight, though.
Yeah.
No.
No, he stayed late.
False.
That was when he actually stayed late.
We weren't even done recording at midnight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then I stayed up and I edited one of my...
I thought that was a different one. Because there was one where you left pretty early.
Was it Halloween, you said? Because I was editing... We watched that spooky episode of the Mario cartoon. And then I was editing that together.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, either way. Yeah, my favorite episode, 74. Gaming Inspirations.
That was a good one.
So there you have it, our top 5 Frozen North episodes. And our final top 5.
Dun, 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 dun,
You'll never hear from us again.
Oh, my gosh.
Why? Are you killing us?
Wow.
We're going to die after we eat all this meat.
That's very true.
We're going out to dinner. Otherwise, that is just really weird.
That is weird.
Context-wise.
People eat meat. I mean, it's just a normal thing.
That's a good point.
I guess it doesn't usually kill you, though.
All right. With that, and speaking of SoPro, we have another side quest. I will let Tony take it away.
Hello, Kansas City. This is Tony Wallace with SoPro Gaming, and on the 100th episode of the Frozen North, we at SoPro would like to say congratulations and thank you for everything that you've done for us. As a brand new gaming center about a year and a half ago, we were lucky enough to have our friends at the Frozen North come by and do an interview and subsequently do several more. I want to say that I think that the milestone of 100 episodes is something pretty great for a podcast, especially in the area of gaming. And we at SoPro would also like to thank the group for just being friends and just having a good time, bringing me back into gaming and actually being a real strong force for gaming in Kansas City. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to Mark and to Brian and to my good friend JJ Anton. Signing out here at SoPro. Again, congratulations, JJ. Thank you.
All right, and we're back again. Tony, thank you so much, man.
Tony, yeah.
And, thank you so much to SoPro Gaming in general. SoPro has done so much for us. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I reached out to Tony one day. Him and I have been friends for a long, long time, way before I even did this show, way before he opened SoPro. And Mike, one of the other owners, have known each other for a really long time. And we started this show, and then, like, you know, a handful of episodes in, I remember going to Facebook and just seeing that he started work at a new company called SoPro Gaming. And I was like, well, that's weird. What is this? Looked at it, looked it up, found they were going to be doing a Kickstarter and that they were looking to open up this gaming store and LAN center. And I was like, interesting. So I, reached out and I was like, hey, man, what's up with this? What's going on? He's like, oh, this is what it is. And he kind of gave me a rough overview. And I go, can we meet for a beer? I'd love to talk to you. And he's like, yeah, sure. So we went to a local bar that we know each other from. And we're just sitting up there just having a few beers. And he showed me, like, what they were planning for this place and everything. And then, I showed him my business card for the Frozen North. And I was like, this is what I do. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not influential in any sort of way, but I would love to just give you guys some free advertisement. I totally support what you're doing, and I know Mark and Brian would be on board 100% by giving you guys a shout out anytime you wanted it. It would be our pleasure, if you're looking for some free publicity. And he was like, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely, totally. And it kind of just blossomed from there. We've been close friends. We went to check him out. I don't think Mark went the first time. And Brandon
yep.
went up there that first night when they were still under construction.
They still have drywall up.
And Lee was there. And, right there it showed kind of what that place could be, because me, you, and him, and Brandon all started talking StarCraft 2. Like, just going into a huge in-depth conversation about it and stuff. And he was like, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is why we need to open this place.
Right.
Yes. It was like, this is the kind of crap that's going to draw people in here is this social aspect. People who think that there aren't any, when I was in junior high and high school, I hardly knew anybody else who played video games other than, Matt and his brother. And that's mainly because I was so scared to even mention it to people because I was afraid of getting picked on or, the stupid reasons that are out there. And honestly, that went with me all the way up until I met Brian at Lowe's. And there was a few people there that I found out played World of Warcraft where they weren't afraid to let people know that they were into games.
Yeah.
That actually made me come out of my shell. And now I don't even care.
As you shouldn't.
I told a couple people at work the other day that I was excited for the new Pokemon game. And yeah, they looked at me funny, but I was like, hey, you
whatever.
know what? I am.
Yeah, I am me.
Like, whatever. It just doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
And SoPro has become this, like, just
it's awesome
symbol for that, for people to go and hang out and it's just been awesome watching them grow.
Yep.
From where they started, and it's only been like a year and a half, 2 years, something they've been open, and it's a freaking hotspot. Like, the tournaments they have there are so huge. Like, Tony was telling me the other day, like, honestly, the biggest problem we have with our tournaments is that we don't have enough space for all the people that want to enter.
It's crazy how many people are in there.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. So, and that's it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But we're definitely excited to see what they do in the future. I can't wait, and I can't thank them enough. The first thing they did when I went up there the first time when they were all done, was like, hey, give me a stack of your business cards. I'll put it right here on the counter. And I was like, really? It's like, yeah, do it. So they did that, and it's just they've been so supportive, and I wish them nothing but the best.
Yep.
And I know, like I said, I'm still really good friends with Tony and Mike up there. But Tony, Mike, and Lee, just really, really great guys, great place.
Yep.
Again, if you're in Kansas City and you want to go to a LAN Center gaming place, check out SoPro Gaming.
Yep. And even me, opposite of what you were saying, I've always been an extroverted gamer. I've always been of the mindset, even as a younger kid, I'd say 90% of my best friends have all been met through some form of discussion or mutual love of video games. I've always been extroverted that way. I've never cared if anybody knew I was a gamer. I'm a kind of person who I am me. The famous John Candy line in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. What you see is what you get. If you don't like it, that's your problem, not mine. And so I've always been a social, like, hey, yeah, you like video games? No, that's cool, whatever. I do, I love them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And SoPro kind of was like, yes, this needs to happen. This needs to open up some social aspects of gaming and bring the maybe some of the more introverted people out and realize that, man, a lot of people out here love games.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah.
It's been crazy seeing them grow, too.
Yep.
Just from not having the fixtures on the walls yet to
Yep.
where they are now, the setup is amazing for
Yeah.
bring your own PC, play on their PCs. Brian even got to try virtual reality.
Oh,
Yep, they got a
Space
Vive.
Pirate Simulator. Woo!
It's awesome.
Yep, very
Loved
cool.
it.
So wish them all the best. Absolutely. Great
Agreed.
people. And finally, we got another shout out we actually just got done telling the whole story about Ryan and the Suikoden and Arrival movement. But I wanted to just give them one last plug. SuikodenArrivalMovement.com. Check out their website
Yeah.
because they have done so much for the show. And like I said, Ryan has become a good friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad that Mark convinced me to reach out to them because I really was. I was terrified beforehand. I was like, this is like just way too big for us, man. I don't know if we can do it. And they've always been nothing but so nice and so supportive. And Ryan has genuinely listened to the show and talked to us about it and stuff. And that's just so cool to hear.
And there's still a lot of good work that they have to do.
Absolutely.
Like, they don't have the games on PS4.
Yep.
And they're still working on
Trying to get 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So we're
they need your support.
and they're still working on it.
Yep.
They're showing no signs of stopping. I guarantee you there have been other movements that have tried to do this kind of stuff, not necessarily for Suikoden, but for anything in general. And these guys' dedication is inspirational as hell, to say the least. So wish them all the best as well. And Ryan, can't thank you enough for the work and the time that you have put in to help make this show what it is. Because seriously, the episodes that you were on have been some of the most informative and most enjoyable to listen to that we've done, hands down. So that's that. Okay, one last thing, actually, before we call the episode and the show. Mark, Brian, and I, have some big news for you, buddy.
Yeah.
What's this?
Now, we spoke earlier, and Brian and I have realized how much the show has changed the two of us, in that we have become more open and more accepting gamers as far as different genres and different types of games.
True.
And we acknowledge that. We acknowledge that we have come out of our shell to experience other facets.
I think you and I can both agree we have become more well-rounded gamers.
Absolutely. So we would like to acknowledge and bestow upon you the title of gamer in general.
Yes.
So
as you know, Mark isn't really a gamer. He talks about playing games, but
Wait a minute.
It's
JJ
official.
just said I'm a gamer now.
I know.
No, that's
I'm
what
saying
we're
in the
talking
past.
about.
Yeah, in the past, it was like, hey, Mark, what you been playing? And he'd be like, well, does Jackbox count?
Hey, it does count.
But you know what I mean? So I think
watch Chana play Candy Crush.
False.
Farmville.
False.
on behalf of the Gaming Association of America and the world and the universe,
And Brian and myself.
I would like to bestow upon you.
All right.
I would like to bestow upon you this.
He's holding out a fake.
I would like to
he's
bestow-
handing me a monster can.
I'd like to bestow upon you this gaming,
opportunity to throw my trash away.
this
Is this a
opportunity
a trophy
to
here?
be recognized now as a full-fledged gamer.
Congratulations, buddy.
Congratulations.
100 episodes, you did it.
You did it. Reveal.
I did it.
Twist.
Hey.
Big twist. This
That's
whole
what this whole thing
episode
has
was
been
an
about.
intervention to get you to become a gamer.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I guess if this was a college degree, I'm a semester ahead of schedule.
Boom. I'm proud of you, sir.
Thank you.
Man. want to do also one last reminder about December 10th. Check out the our Twitch channel and also Tank's Twitch channel, preferably Tank's, so we can give him the support. Come over there, donate, watch us, talk to us, hang out. And also, Mark was saying earlier, we would love to, since at that point Final Fantasy 15 will have been out for a little bit.
Yep.
I think Brian and I are going to try and maybe take a little bit of time and talk about that as well. So we'll have played some of it. I don't know if I'll beat it by then. Or
I might play
not.
it if it's got good reviews.
But we'll definitely talk about it. So head on over to twitch.tv/Kiruvi, Kiruvi, or twitch.tv/Frozen North Games, and check us out on December 10th from 10 a.m. to midnight.
Yep.
Central Time. Central. U.S.
Yeah.
So, Mark, was there something else you wanted to bring up as well?
For all the local listeners, people from Kansas City, I just want to remind y'all to support your local companies. Go on to SoPro, go to Novastar, go to Tabletop, and this, I want to say, spring, make sure to go on out to CantCon.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Because we want to make Kansas City a great place for gamers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good call. Very good call. I think that's it, guys.
Gentlemen?
I think, it's definitely bittersweet. It's been an amazing ride. I cannot thank everybody who has supported us enough for all the letters and the comments and just genuine support that they've shown us for just three idiots talking about things that they love. It's been far more than I ever even thought. Like, I would not anywhere near consider us super successful if you're looking at, per listener count or anything like that. We don't have hundreds of thousands of listeners, but I think the listeners that we do have shown that they are of the highest quality. And I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to those of you who have stuck with us. And those of you who are just joining us now, go back and listen to the episodes we recommended. I know we've had a hell of a lot of fun doing this. So, you guys got anything?
Just want to say, heroes fade away, but legends never die.
He's letting the gamer thing go to his head, I think.
He is. I guess I will just say, gentlemen, it has been an honor.
Are you Captain Picard?
Hey, I don't know who that was.
I don't know. It's
And what was the voice?
Gentle.
Yes, it was this voice.
Gentlemen, it has been an honor.
What?
No, this was fun. This was fun. This was fun. Well, here's my review of the podcast. It's fun. You do a lot of stuff, and you just, in general, you have a lot of fun.
Solid reference.
Thanks. Yep.
I should have put that on my top 5 list.
Yep.
That was, what game was that?
That was Saints Row 3.
Saints Row 3.
That was also the episode where Stitch came on. And
Oh, was it?
Hey, how it doing?
Hey, how we doing?
A hell of a lot of good memories.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you know what? They're all on YouTube now. So
Lots of new friends.
absolutely. Like we said, I'm gonna keep checking the email. Doesn't matter. Just send me whatever the hell you want. I will always respond if I can. And I also keep an eye on that YouTube channel because I
doubt this will be the last you'll hear from us.
Right. I guarantee, like a couple of years down the road, we might do like a reunion episode or something like that. But I guarantee you, I don't want to say guarantee because anything can happen.
Odds are.
But like odds are, especially if you've listened to the show long enough, you know that we're always trying new things, and so I've always got ideas, and I'm most likely going to be doing something else with the YouTube channel in the future. I can't guarantee you a time when, but I do have some ideas that I'd like to do. But as far as this podcast goes, this is calling it here. So again, thank you so much to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess for the last time, my name is JJ.
My name is Mark.
And my name is always Brian.
And as always,
Keep on gaming. Our theme song was made available through the Creative Commons Attribution license by Ziphoid. The song title is Radical Fanfare.